one drunk man is more intelligent than 3 women with PhDs.
Thank you so much.
That's
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
That's the thing.
Hey, boss. Good morning. Good. How you doing? Listen, man, I'm not going to be able to make it in today. No, I'm not calling in sick. I'm calling in rich. Yeah, you remember those Shiba Inu coins that you laughed at me for buying? Well, I bought 100 million of them. And wouldn't you know that damn thing hit a penny? And now it's worth $1 million. So yeah, I'm calling in rich. No, I'm serious. So I won't be in ever again. Hello? Hello? Motherfucker just hung up on me. Fucking hater.
Punky, on me, funky, monkey, punky, pump it, price, jump it, hop in a new whip, paid for by Punky. I'm just too lit. Somebody say something. A monkey that look like a frog, price look just like a dog's, full of some chads and gods. Fudders is mad I bought. Word to your mothers, this monkey is doing a lot. Take out a hammer, I'm whacking a fudder, just cleaning the face. Jumping on Twitter, take over the space. Punky is pumping, increasing the pace. A monkey that look like a frog, paid for my flight to Prague. Touchdown, Punky Lamborghini rental in the garage. She's at my Punky, we had a menage. No, she not Nikki, cause I'm too picky. That's why my portfolio is long as a blog. All about Punky and why that shit rocks. Punky take over the block, watch. Punky, on me, funky, monkey, punky, pump it, price, jump it, hop in a new whip, paid for by Punky. I'm just too lit. Somebody say something. Punky, on me, funky, monkey, punky, pump it.
Don't gamble. Oh yeah, don't gamble money that you can. Man. I mean, unless it's a lock. There's no such thing as a lock. That's the thing. Unless it's a lock. If it's a lock, oh my God, it's a little different.
Stop gambling, alright? You're one spin away from generational wealth. Your daughter's college tuition is one spin away. Put your life savings on black. Remember that. Just go to Vegas, and if you lose, just keep getting loans. Remember this. Just keep spinning, keep gambling, keep gambling. You can't lose. You literally can't lose. You can only quit.
Nobody knows about that fucking degenerate life when you're fucking down 40,000 and you battle the fuck back. You say, you know what? I'm a fucking strong, independent man. And you're not gonna tell me I should go to bed. I'm gonna battle the fuck back. And I'm gonna fucking get my money back. And guess what? I got my motherfucking money back. That's right.
There's only one useful thing that any of us can do every day when we get up. One thing that matters above all. That one thing is convince someone to convert some other form of property into Bitcoin. Right? Evangelize Bitcoin, educate Bitcoin. If you get up and you talk to 100 people and one of them takes $1 million and they sell 1 million of stock and they buy Bitcoin, or sell 1 million of gold and buy Bitcoin.
You've done your job.
Right? Put your gold, buy Bitcoin. Take your money out of your, sell the bond, buy Bitcoin. Right? Sell whatever your property or whatever your asset is and buy Bitcoin. That's the one thing. We don't need to make any other enemies. Find everybody with money and you want them to buy Bitcoin. I don't care who you are, where you're from. If you sell the other stuff and buy Bitcoin, you'll be better off. Your country will be better off. Your religion will be better off. Your ideology is better off. Your family is better off. Your company is better off.
But when you go all in on something, I would say that does take conviction. Now, your conviction might be.
How many chairs are you sitting on right now?
One.
Are you all in on the chair? The point really is you put on one pair of glasses. You've got one pair of AirPods right now. You're looking at me through one screen. You're using one microphone. That's a one microphone. Like, you trust it? Is that conviction? Seems kind of scary. Why don't you diversify? Why don't you use 10 microphones? The point really is things in your life. Do you drive in 10 cars at the same time or one car at one time? Do you drive down one street? Aren't you afraid that you're driving down one street? Do you take a different way? So my point really is, if you're you get on one airplane, are you convicted? You put your entire family on the one airplane, aren't you afraid? There is no second best. There's no second asset. Well, Bitcoin is the best crypto asset. Okay. What's the second best? There is no second best. There's no second best crypto asset. There's a crypto asset. It's called Bitcoin, right? Right? There's no second best, okay? But take all your money, buy Bitcoin. Then take all your time, figure out how to borrow more money to buy more Bitcoin. Then take all your time and figure out what you can sell to buy Bitcoin. And if you absolutely love the thing that you don't want to sell it, go mortgage your house and buy Bitcoin with it. And if you've got a business that you love because your family works for the business, it's in your family for 37 years, and you can't bear to sell it, mortgage it, finance it, and convert the proceeds into the hardest money on earth.
Woo! What is going on, you guys? It is I, Dollar Cost Crypto, here with Charlie. What's up, man?
Hey, episode 151, baby. We've done a few of these, eh?
151. I mean, that is a little touch. I mean, it's almost the same amount of proof as this alcohol right here. Little, I might have some of this.
It's a very symmetrical number.
Very symmetrical number. Very good number. A very good rum. Apparently, that's like the rum they would actually take on these like long trips, like UK sailors and stuff.
I've never had it. Was it taste like?
It's really great. It tastes a little lemony and stuff like that, but Jesus Christ, man. Like, yeah, it makes sense. It's 75% alcohol.
Yeah. I'm good. No, like how old is it? Is it like you said, like it was used when?
Yeah, it's the original formula. It's not like some ancient one or anything like that.
No. I mean, like when was it originally created?
It's established over 200 years ago in London.
Okay, and then you said what was it originally? It was originally used by who?
By sailors, basically. Like sailors. Yeah.
So it fights off the scurvy, yeah.
Well, maybe causes. I would say more like starts fights, but yeah.
Right. Yeah, no, in terms of rum or whatever, the other one that's really, really good is the Appleton. I don't know if you've ever had that. It's a Jamaican rum.
No, I haven't.
Yeah, it's like once you have that rum, it kind of ruins you to all other rum. It's like,
really?
Yeah, it's like everything else is trash.
I don't know. I mean, I like Barrilito and stuff from PR. That's pretty good. That's really good rum. But I'll definitely have to try it. Yeah, that's like their local rum. Where like that's actually where like they made the pina colada. And like that's the rum they use in it and stuff from back then.
That might be good. Yeah. Because there's the dark rum and then there's the light rum. But yeah.
Well, let me introduce our topic for today, man. How different age groups invest in crypto, right? And there's a reason I used. Actually, you know what? You know, I showed the boomers, right? I showed a little bit of the boomers, right? Like, this is
asset. Well, Bitcoin is the best crypto asset. Okay, what's the second best? There is no second best,
right? And we've got a little bit of the millennials right here.
Nobody
right?
knows about that fucking degenerate life when you're fucking down 40,000 and you battle the fuck back. You say, you know what? I'm
a strong, independent man, right? And we have some of like, I would call the Zoomers right here, right?
What the fuck are you wearing, bro? Yeah, man, got into crypto windfall, bitch. A couple of these altcoins in the portfolio went through the roof. And them NFTs I copped, yeah, up like 100x. Whoa. Thought my MetaMask wallet was gonna blow the server. IYKYK. If you know, you know. That's all I'm saying. Shit. It all tanked, bro. Some whales must have swam through a rug pull on the NFTs. Market's on a downswing. ETH's dropping like a landslide. I'm hurting, baby. Bro, that was 2 seconds ago. You don't understand the game. It's brutal. You think you can Venmo me like $5, man? I'll get you back, I promise. Yeah, chill, man. I got you. Jeez. That go through? Yep. Took those $5, threw it down on a meme coin, a little gaming token I heard about on Reddit. Just did my research. Do your own research. It's not a big deal, so back to the moon. Hodl on this one all day. Oh, boy. You think you can Venmo me another $5?
Well, and you know what the main difference between each demographic is, right?
What? I want to hear it.
So why do they bet differently?
Well, I mean, it's more or less, I guess, but dependent on how much money they're making and like where they're at in their career,
How
which
much
is
you have.
yeah, that's exactly.
And
right.
if you have a lot, then yeah, you don't want a lot of volatility. You just want the nice, safe, Bitcoin and Ethereum, because those are our, slow, old, movers at this point in the market, right?
But Charlie, there is no second best. There is no second best cryptocurrency. There's Bitcoin and there's everything else, right?
Now there's a third best. Solana's basically being like, hey, motherfuckers, this is my spot. I'm third best now. CZ's in jail, so I'm taking this spot.
You know what's so trippy when I had Gary the numbers guy on here yesterday was that, or the day before that, was that, Michael Saylor's a 9 life path. So is Richard Hart. I'm gonna start making a list of every top crypto person. I'm gonna find out, like, you imagine it's like 80% 9 life paths. That would be so trippy, dude. I know I'm talking.
I forgot. I was like, I'm a 9 in something and I'm a 7 in something else. I think I'm like a 7 in life path and like a 9 in like birth something. I can't remember how that shit works. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, so
what's your birthday again? The day you were born.
I'm not going with there for on the live stream, just in terms of the date.
No, I meant the day, like the day of the month.
Yeah. Oh, well, just the day of the month or the day and the month.
Just the oh my mother, God damn!
I'm gonna start being like one of those crypto bros. I'm like, bro, you ain't get my address.
All right, I need your social security number right now, and I need your address.
All right, I give you that.
The day you were born. The day you were born, not of the month. Of the month, not don't give me the month. 27.
Yeah.
27. Yeah, that's a 9. That's a 9.
But was that a life path or is that a birth?
Okay, so not a numerologist here, my lord. But not a numerologist, nothing. But basically, like the day you're born is kind of like your AM FM radio. Like your life path number is like the really strong number, and then your undercurrent would be the day you're born. That's what. So you're a 9. So you're good at crypto. Dun, dun, dun.
That's the birth.
The day you're born. That's the day you're born, and your life path is 7.
Right.
That's what it is.
It's all very confusing me.
Yeah. And because I'm also a 9 because I was born on the 9th.
Yeah, I remember when we had the one we did a while back with him or whatever. We were kind of talking about that, like we were the same on something but different on something else. So
yeah. So and that's usually what it is. Like that's gonna be interesting to see because I might do some little research just for fun to see just like when the one birthday I'm trying to we tried in the past to find was CZ's birthday. It's really hard, but it's interesting. It'd be interesting if almost everybody is either born on the 9th or their number adds up to 9 or they're a 9 life path. I'd be like, wow,
that would be interesting.
Wow. Yeah, because it's like Gary's like famous for like basically shitting on 9 life paths, calling them fucking losers and drug addicts.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Well, like then he was like most of them were like Andrew Tate because he's one of those as well as a tiger, I think, because he also hates tigers, right?
I think so. Yeah, he hates. I think he hates.
Well, it's 9, 10 tigers, and I'm like, I'm both. But then he was like, oh, but you're okay. And he's like, but these other motherfuckers.
I think he just hates them for personal reasons, not really like yeah. I mean, yeah, like it's just
a good excuse.
That's what happens, man. Like when like shit happens with business or or like coming after someone's personal brand, it just kind of is what it is, man. But
yeah, it's like what's your taste? Do you like this or that, the other? It's like whatever.
Yeah. Well, right now, what is it? I forgot what Zerka is. Zerka's something I forgot, but whatever. He's in his enemy year right now, and he's having one hell of an enemy year. I'll tell you that much.
I haven't.
Oh yeah, he got into another fight today, and like apparently, like I didn't watch the whole thing, but it looked like he pretty much instigated it and started losing. There's no.
Damn.
Yeah, dude, that's great.
That's not a fun Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, another thing too that's really interesting is like. Both Bitcoin and Ethereum, both Bitcoin and Ethereum are both like oxes. Last time I checked and stuff too, so it's it's just really weird shit, just really really strange stuff, man. But I won't delve into too much and stuff like that. but this is why it's interesting is because like a certain subset of people believe this stuff, right? Just like astrology and stuff, and it does. And like let's just say I believe that it's not real, right? Let's just say I don't believe it's real because a certain population. In this world that we're in does, and some people actually do things because because of that numerology or the astrology, whichever side you want to believe, right? By knowing it, you can work that angle, and it could give you a little advantage. And that's what I found really rich people are doing and stuff, is that they're like, oh, well, if let's just say they don't believe it, but like, well, the sheep will kind of believe it, I'll play into it a little bit because that might give me a strategic advantage. And that's what it is, because it's like, when guys are playing at the top level and they're like putting a lot of money down, they're like, well, fuck, I'm really nervous about this. Let me get a little extra insurance or something, all the 69, the 911s and stuff. Yeah.
There are certain words as well. I'm just saying, like, that are not good for the algo. That tend, because I here's one thing I'll tell the chat. I'll just say this to the chat respectfully, right?
Sure.
There was one time that my channel specifically got one of these like red flags. It's like 3 strikes, you're out kind of thing, and it basically stayed on my channel for like a year and a half or whatever, and then YouTube finally took it down. So I'm just saying, like, you spam certain words of the chat enough times, and like, even if Miguel wasn't the one saying something, like, they still get the channel. So just don't put the channel at too much risk, is all I'm saying.
Yeah, don't say them boys, you guys.
or the N-word, or like, there's all sorts of stuff that'll trigger it, but hey,
definitely.
just a word of hey,
So I guess just to kind of like get into, before we get into the whole topic and stuff, shout out to all the people in the Citadel, man. We're going to be announcing, later this week, we're going to do like a webinar, a flash webinar or something like that. I wanted to do an AMA for you guys, but me and Charlie are still deciding, because the week's about to start, basically. So we're going to give you guys an announcement. Always check pinned messages and stuff like that, you guys. But it's kind of funny, people like someone in the chat earlier said, like, paid groups, right? And that's the sort of thing is because what a paid group actually is, it's a group that basically gives you signals or call. It's basically like, it's a trader group is what people are talking about, right? The Citadel is not a trader group.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who are like,
no form at all.
Yeah, I think, I'm like, I was about to say something, but I'm like, no, it seems like DCC is about to tee off. I'll let you go.
Yeah, like on these trader groups and stuff. And this is like, and most of the time they're basically trying to, this is from, like, I'm not going to say every influencer, but there's a couple of them I'm not really friendly with, and they have these kind of groups, and they've gone into massive trouble because they're basically they're promoting some scammer dude that launches a meme coin, and they're getting rugged. It's not like, educational.
Buy here, sell here, do this, do that. Like, we're like, hey guys, DYOR. Yeah. But then we're also like, hey, here's a ton of research, but just my opinion, right? I think today, I was having kind of some fun in the chat, just because, like, Bitcoin going into its daily close was very, it was like basically watching the lows get solidified in front of our eyes. And so it's just kind of fun to like send to the Citadel as well as the Q1 course. And also the Q2 course. And I also sent it to the Q1 course just for fun. But yeah, just showed you guys basically like how to kind of confirm a cycle low in real time. And so like, there's a lot of that type of stuff that we share as well. Like, that's just like, that pin I think I put out today was probably one of the more important price pins that we've had in this whole entire year, maybe, or at least like recently. So yeah, I think we're at like where we're at in the market right now is just very, very pivotal. So I think, having that information as fast as possible and being able to talk about it and then share your research in the groups and everything like that, that type of stuff is way more important than just copy pasta trading. Because anytime people do copy trading, it's like a game of telephone, right? Like, if you think a game of telephone's bad and the message that gets to the third or fourth person is this all fucked up, think about how that's going to affect your portfolio if you just copy trade people, right? Like, right. Same deal.
And people also promising returns as well is kind of fucking cringy. Like, these groups always are pretending like, hey man, like, people have made millions of dollars by following my calls and doing, like, dudes. And like even like this is something people don't even know about Richard. Like Richard used to have sort of a group like that a long time ago, and he's like, even when you're right, you can be wrong because you were right telling people to buy at this point. 5 hours later, big mistake. Or well, they were leverage trading, so it's a little more different. But that's kind of the whole thing is like the window, like you have to be on it, and if you're not within that window, you're gonna take a fucking haircut, because
you're not gonna be good with the volatility, and it's like basically a Goldman Sachs desk giving their trades out to everybody, and then to see who can keep up, right? Like it's like a marathon runner giving the baton to somebody who hasn't gotten off the couch in like 6 months. Like good luck.
Yeah, and then here's the allure of those groups too. Like the group we dollar cost average, we cultivate crypto. This actually did take me quite a long time to learn because I was just more of a dollar cost averaging type of guy. I mostly, I bought when I originally started, I was doing $5, $10, $20, $100 if I did something, like if I got a little extra money on a daily basis, and just bought my portfolio that way back in 16 through like now, right? And a trade, when people say trading, what they mean is very short term. They usually mean within the day to within less than a week. And
in terms of in crypto, I guess forex as well is a lot of day trading.
Yeah. Man, forex dudes are fucking lames. Dudes, like you want to lose your money. I almost put it there. You can lose your money faster in forex than you can in crypto. Almost.
Yeah, the leverage they play with. True. I'll give them one thing. I'll say the forex traders, they do put in the work to understand like the lay of the land. The only problem is they put out too much risk, and like they're too short term. So yeah.
All right, I'm going to play you the perfect meme to fully explain trading.
Deja vu, I just been in this place before.
Well, and the other interesting thing about trading, right, is just investing on a shorter time frame.
Right.
But the question is, when does an investment become all risk, right? Once you get down to, I would say, below the 8-hour chart, then all of a sudden, well, your investment thesis, right, is less than a day, which obviously is retarded because like this market changes on a dime every goddamn day. So like, yeah, for me, the thing that I've noticed, this is why I like 60-day cycles so much, is that how far can you see into the future in crypto and have a pretty good judgment? I would say anywhere between 2 to 9 months max, right?
Right. Yeah. It's sub-year. It's sub-year most of the time. Correct. Unless we are like at a specific point in the market where like we're in November, or like let's just say when we were really sure the bottom was in for Bitcoin and Ethereum, like maybe like February of 23, it's really safe to say, yeah, we're going to be up a year from now, 2 years. Like that's as vague as you can get, where like I roughly know whatever I buy today in a year, I'm up. Doesn't matter. Right. Versus a year from there, you're like,
but could you call the price we're going to be at with a good probability? That's probably not, but we could guess a pretty wide range.
Right.
We can get that. And that's where it's like, okay, you can be a sharpshooter in the short term, and you can be, a wide shooter in the long term. But like, if you're trying to sharpshoot like a penny, right? Like down to the 1 minute chart, it's like, bro, like you're just wasting your time.
You're gambling.
Yeah. You're at the circus, you're at the craps table, you're at the roulette table, whatever. You like, crypto's doing too much too fast at that level. There's too much volatility.
Yeah, I mean, even with something, you can get an edge gambling a little bit, or like you sort of figure out a pattern, with roulette or something like that. There's a way to do it, but like the ball bounces just a tiny bit to the left, and you don't hit your number, and you lose, right? Unless it's a lock, of course. But let me explain timeframes a little bit with trading and stuff, because like this is something that like it really took me a minute, because I was like, yeah, fuck trading and stuff. I was more, buy and hold investor, more value investor.
But all the boomers would say what we're doing now between now and the end of the bull market, the next year to year and a half, is a trade because they're on a different time level. They're on like snail time.
Yeah, they're on snail time. Like their cycles are 8 to 12 years long. That's like a cycle for them. Plus, I mean, they're like, I mean, you could even put it on as like 20 years, like a 20-year sort of thing. Like, all right, yeah, I took a little profit off the stock portfolio, or I borrowed off the stock portfolio after 20 years of gains and stuff. Because basically in stocks, as long as you are buying more or less the indices, and then maybe one, like, I mean 80%, like if I was like a stock YouTuber, I'd be like, all right, 60% to 80% of your portfolio in the indices, which is like S&P 500, the NASDAQ, or the Dow, and 20 to 40% in probably tech stocks or some high growth stocks that they've done some research, and you're probably in under like 5 or 6 stocks, single stocks and stuff like that. That's kind of what I was doing. And then eventually I kind of converted it all into stock picking. And that's the only way you can actually make some outsized returns. But if you're like really bad at picking stocks, then the indices will just protect you from your dumb decisions basically over time. But over 20 years, every dummy who leases in the indices is up multiple X's. And it's basic. I mean, and it's mostly more like
mostly flat against inflation.
Mostly flat against inflation, but it's a sort of thing where like most people lose against inflation anyway, and their income doesn't keep up to inflation. So just having some, and then on top of that, people having a goal of like, I have this bucket where I can throw money in, and more money's going to be here in about 2 years. Like, because they won't really notice in 2 years, but after 4 or 5 years, they're like, damn, this 5% move in the portfolio is giant. Look how stupid I sound. I mean, 5%. I don't get out of bed for 2x. But,
yeah.
But that's the traditional sense, and this is why the reason we wanted to talk about the age groups and the demographics of crypto is because we're in the middle of the biggest wealth transfer in history. What's happening is boomers are starting to die, and boomer money is starting to be passed along to the next generation. Right now, currently, the Xers are starting to be in charge right now, and are being in charge. Like, the boomers are retiring, the Xers are promoting themselves up, and we're having some millennial stars getting to the forefront. But the millennials won't be in the driver's seat until 28, 29, realistically, because that's when most millennials are about 25, 28 years old onwards and stuff, where everyone's starting to work and trying to get in their career. And then the older millennials are in their early 40s to 45 range, where it's in your 40s to 45 range where most people peak out in income. And there's like this whole distribution when it comes to IQ. If you're on the lowest, and it's so crazy because it tracks exactly to testosterone. So give me a little rope here, Charlie. But like, basically, if you're like a person that has like an 80 IQ, 70 IQ, you're not like drooling.
Borderline retarded, but you're not retarded. Is that what you're trying to say?
Charlie, semantics, Charlie. Where are my crayons?
You know enough that you're retarded, but you're smart enough to get around those obstacles.
You know exactly what coin to ape into, right? I'm studying you. So like, but
you're not. Yeah, I would. Should I go? No. You know what coin to ape into, and you actually do it because you don't overthink it, right?
Right. And that's this whole thing too. I mean, like, shout out to Michael Sartain. He just said this on that recent show with Fresh. He says that these high IQ guys, like, you'll have like, let's just say you have 2 good looking dudes, and you have one that's really, really smart and one that's really like, border at least 80 IQ, 90 IQ. Then he'll say like, that chick's hot. Fuck it. Hey, what's up? Versus the other one is like being 120, 110. I don't know, man. Like, maybe I should go. Like, it's actually it's insane, the difference between 10 IQ points, 20 IQ points. It's the standard. It's insanity. Like 10 extra IQ, and you're literally become instead of being a shotgunner, you become a fucking sniper. And like, I used to do that. You know what a sniper is, Charlie?
In what terms?
In the dating sense, you know what a sniper is? Like, you're at a dance and you find a chick you like, and you're like, all right, once she's away from her friends, I'll go up to her. Like, you're trying to create this perfect scenario.
Procrastination.
Yeah. He who hesitates masturbates.
Right.
It's that thing, right?
And that's an ineffective sniper versus an effective sniper would just be somebody being like, I know what I want. I'm just going for it, and I'm getting
correct. But it's basically gun shy, or it's more like analysis paralysis is really what it is, right? You're better off numbers game. You're better off just fucking like getting rejected a bunch of times, and then eventually you'll. That's what worked for me back in the day and stuff. Is just like I would just I would try to like go to part of the thing where like there's less chicks seeing, so I'd be able to like, hey, what's up? Nope, and then eventually like you stop giving a fuck, and when you stop giving a fuck, you're like, yeah, let's do it. Whoa, that's cool.
Turns into that meme where you're in the corner and you're like, they don't know I have one full Bitcoin.
Oh my god! I mean, that reminds me of anyone's watching the new season of The Boys. Like there's this character. She's got a superpower that makes her really, really smart, but she's so smart that she has her human urges. She wants to have sex. She wants to like talk to people, but she's so smart that like everyone is like basically an idiot, and she can figure out what someone's going to do anyway, just because how smart she is, right? So she literally sticks a rod in her brain and like lobotomizes herself temporarily just to have sex with some dude. To be stupid enough to have sex with a guy, and then her brain healed up, and fucking hilarious, dude. Like, yo, The Boys.
Like, if you got the healing powers of Wolverine, sure.
No, that's what she was. Yeah, she was.
I'm not sure about that. Yeah.
But this conversation on IQ is incredible right now. But like, let me get to the original point. So like, okay, so because of that, right? If the lower you're at on IQ, let's just say you're 80 IQ, your income tends to top out near where your testosterone starts to top out as a male. Let's just say everything's healthy, you weren't fat. So guys who are on the lower spectrum of IQ, like imagine you're just like working in a warehouse and you keep working at the warehouse for a long time. Eventually you might actually become like one of the main guys. They kind of upgrade you, but at some point there's kind of like a cap in the income. You top out somewhere in the early 30s to 35 range of income, and you kind of stay there forever. Then this is
kind of like that Costco boss we saw the other day. We were walking around and Costco, and we saw that one guy, and we're like, he looks a little freer than everybody else. That guy, and he's talking shit to other people. Oh, okay, that's the boss. That's the Costco boss, but he has a cap.
and the reason it tops out with testosterone is because basically the guy can get stronger, and just through willpower and just being like strong and just going with work ethic, they can just keep upgrading, but then their intellect kind of pushes them because they can't get into a different vertical to keep ascending, right? Then it gets into the intellect side where like people start getting from like 95 to like 115 range in there. And this is the majority. This is where most people get stuck here, is that the majority of people top out between 35 to 40 in income. And it's you can look at this up. It stays flat for like a good 15 years, and then goes down in the late 50s to 60s, and you retire basically. Then there's a few subsect of people where like they're like 120s. And it's kind of this weird range. It's usually like 120s to like 150s where they're like, it's not classical smart. It's not like they're genius level, but like very smart. It's kind of like standard deviation right before like, oh, these are like Asperger gigabrains.
They're smarter than your average bear. That's about it. Yeah,
correct. But here's the big key factor is that they're smart enough. They're smart enough to like almost like, when you're like, you never know like, until you actually learn, you don't know how little you know. Right. Like until you're in crypto, you don't know how little you know in crypto. That's kind of like, even after all these years, like we've been in crypto 8 years, and I'm still like shocked of what I don't know. Like it's like it's like an endless void of information, right? Yeah, we're gonna need to make it in crypto. That's right. So you guys are gonna be blasting. No trend yet, but TRT baby. It's a sort of thing where like they're smart enough to understand roughly with explanation what the next level and the next two levels are trying to explain to them, but dumb enough to relate to the standard deviation below them and above them. So it's kind of like this weird sweet zone. And I think I've heard Richard say about this a couple times as well, but that zone, they can become millionaires and billionaires basically. Right. Yeah. And it takes a very special, like genius level, like an Elon Musk is very rare actually, where he would just be a top engineer, very great life. But because of like, there's a certain level of IQ where you start disassociating with people around you. And then you start having, you're so smart that you actually have problems actually relating to people on a personal level, that it can actually make you think like, I've got money and everything, I just want to study when I want to study. And then they don't, like economically, they don't want to go any higher. They just want to, they're just kind of playing like, it's more of like they're playing their life as a game instead of playing like the other game the society wants you to play, which is to ascend the citadel and ascend, the hierarchy and the ranks. And but even those giga smart brain dudes are trying to, like, my paper just got published in Nature. Oh, really, bro? Yeah. For this is the third time in 5 years, like,
that's the thing is, no matter how fucking smart you are, you always fall for social clout. Like,
correct.
You know how like that's the sand pit of despair for so many people, is just like what other people think about them. You know what I mean?
Oh no, definitely. Like, so this is why, like, you like, I tried, like, this is why the whole joke in crypto is about the IQ spectrum, right? The bell curve, right? Is like, you have the dum-dums, you got the giga brains, and you got the normies in the middle, right? And you basically want to be able to be a giga brain and understand these advanced concepts, but then lower your IQ down and, like, I ape. So you'll have, like, I don't know, right now the prices seem kind of bad. Like, it could actually go lower. Alt season coming in, bros. I'm gonna buy giga brains. Yo, alt season coming, bros. So you have like this subsect where, like, you have like 20%, 40% of the population is going like, I ape. And 60% is like, I don't know, I like to buy tops. It's kind of, I need more signals to tell me that, like, the bottom's in.
I need a guarantee. I need a lock.
And that's the thing. There's no guarantees in life.
Yeah.
No guarantees in life. And that's the scary.
Tell me I'm not going to get hit by a bus tomorrow, Miguel. Tell me it ain't so. Tell me it ain't so.
So that's to explain, like, so that's sort of the whole thing with, like, income and what's happening with the boomers and what's happening. And that whole thing with IQ, testosterone, and everything that I just said right now is factually across the board for both boomers, Xers, millennials, Zoomers, and Generation Alpha. I have no idea what they're calling the next generation, the ones born after like 2022 or 2020, but whatever they're gonna call, I don't know, Zeta. Whatever.
Yeah, like, isn't Alpha back to the beginning? Zoomers are the end, and then Alpha is the beginning, so it must be the betas.
Yeah. Wait, Brandon's like smart enough to sell, dumb enough to buy bean coins. Oh my god, it better, dude. I will petition them not to do that. That is who would name a generation beta? We got like, no, like Omega, Zeta. I mean, like, there's so many we cannot name a generation beta. That is,
it's gonna happen at one point.
I mean, Generation Wrecked would at least sound cool, like zoomed, or we can call them the Doomers or something like that. But like, but Jesus, man. But just to go on to this whole thing. So right now we're in the middle of the greatest wealth transfer in history. The boomers are starting to age out. Most of them are, if not already at retirement age, they're still at their job right now because they want to be, because a lot of them are, they misallocated themselves. Like, even though most of the wealth, I think it's like 53% of the wealth in America is controlled by the boomers. The Pareto principle still, in fact, 20% of the boomers are controlling 80% of that capital. That's not perfect math, but more or less it's just like you even if I said 65%, which is probably more accurate, 65% of all the money the boomers have, right? And that's roughly like what, 37% of all the money in America is owned by like these 20% of boomers. Stuff
like Larry Fink, Biden, and the deep state, right?
Correct. All of that, yeah. The deep state, the CIA, the FBI, Homeland
Security. A good ass video that John McAfee's wife retweeted from his old account, just talking about like how she was like, this is like a video basically saying what happened during last night's debate or whatever, during the debate from last week or earlier this week. And it was basically John McAfee going off about the deep state. He was like, it's common sense, motherfuckers.
He also said that, like, this is the trippiest one right here, is that he said that Russia had, this is right before he died or whatever. He tweeted out that Russia has had their first ever time travel come back. And this
was back, that tweet, I remember it was July of 2020. I remember seeing it, and it went viral this week because, like, basically he was saying the Democrats' strategy now, after losing Biden because he's incapable, versus John McAfee thought that would have happened back then because it was clear he was getting incapable already back then, right? To the people who were paying attention. But like, so it's just like, man, like, just 4 years too early on that call.
Right. But basically,
or it's an actual time traveler, one of the two.
He said the Democrats are going to steal the election again by basically right before the whole election's done, that Biden basically has a lapse and they have to, he's medically unsound and they put someone else in charge, and then that kind of cancels out the election.
Yep.
If he calls that shit, bro, oh my God.
Why do you think they Epsteined him? I mean, dude was talking a lot of truth. I remember the interview that we did with him back in the day, what a year and a month before he got killed. He was basically saying how the exact logical case for why COVID is basically BS, right?
No.
And like, if you go back and watch it, it's like, it made sense to me at the time. So I was like, yeah, sounds right. Sounds exactly right. But most people didn't want to accept it because of their emotional bias based on what the mainstream media tells them to think, right? And now when you see most people see what he said, I would say most people would be like, yeah, that sounds pretty logical. But back then, everybody thought he was freaking nuts.
I will say that last 2020 year, he was off the deep end, bros. I'm not gonna bear markets are rough, you guys. Even in 2020,
we're coming out of it.
We're coming out I would say that it didn't really okay. I would say November of 2020 is when oh bro, we're really out of this bitch. We're in a bull run right now. But unless you were in Ethereum meme coins on Uniswap to catch the run up on either either it was you either were in Hex or you were in Chainlink, you were in the Uniswap token, you were in one of those, or you were in synthetics, very limited tokens. Everything else, Ethereum and Bitcoin just went lazily up. Everything, and those few meme coins or these micro cap shit coins that instantly orbs and all these other stuff that quickly and disappeared. You stopped making money about around June, July. They stopped making money, and then it was kind of this lull period where they kind of went down, and you had Bitcoin and Ethereum still kind of lazily going up, and then we just hit a point where oh my God, when it was that moment, I say it all the time. It's when Bitcoin hit 27 grand is when because we kept hitting 19,000, 21,000, 22,000, but oh bro, one little dip and we're back down. When we hit 27. Oh, dude, whoa. And then we're I remember even saying to our guys at the time, bros, we need to throw money into the market.
Well, I remember telling the guys.
I felt like this. I was like, oh, it started. Oh, crap.
Yeah, well, because I remember we saw it coming, right? Because first crypto mindset course, the first crypto mindset course that we did was September of 2020. Price was around 11K, something like that.
Yeah.
And we were like, shit, we need to start this. We need to go out with this course now instead of at the end of the year like we wanted to, because price is going to go up. And I remember saying during that course, the first target out of 20K, once we break that, is 27, based on the pattern and everything. And everybody's like, yeah. And then literally as soon as we broke 20K, it immediately went to 27. And then everybody's like, oh shit, But I think a lot of people heard about the projections, just didn't believe it. But people, like you said, people like to buy tops, right? So, a bunch of people filed in there, and then what happens? It drops down to 22K after that, chills, and then it goes crazy again. But it was kind of a disbelief phase of that really big all season.
Yeah, and James has said, he snagged Bitcoin wick $300 less than the low, right? And this is the whole thing: is me and Charlie have literally streamed during multiple cycle lows.
Yeah,
last cycle and this cycle. And people, it's kind of funny. Since we're streaming, we're like, oh, dude, sometimes we've been on here and the prices are actually wicking down to the lows. And because I've been on stream, I haven't been able to buy those prices. We've had guys in the chat. I remember when Ethereum literally hit its all-time low. Officially it's $800 roughly on the lows, but I saw it wick down to 780, 760. And I have multiple people in this chat right now that bought Ethereum at $700 recently. Within this cycle. Last cycle, unless you were there, you don't really believe it. But most people say, oh yeah, Ethereum last cycle hit $81. No, it hit $76, $72, depending on where you bought it. You could have bought $70 Ethereum. It's just most people the thing is charts kind of erase history. I think it's more of an
different
average
exchanges. Well, different exchanges have different prices based on their liquidity levels and different things like that. So one exchange will have a price difference of maybe like a couple of dollars. One will be a few $100s.
Yeah.
And then the historical data will get smoothed out oftentimes like on CoinGecko based on weekly or daily closes instead of intraday price action. So that short 8-hour period that you go boom, boom, you go down and back up is ignored by some charts, basically.
Right. And, no, it's all good. It's all good, James. But the thing is like, it's having the conviction to buy and continue to buy. And like we've said this for a long time, because I'm gonna get back to the whole thing with demographics right here, but it's like the whole thing we're talking about is like, be like when you don't have as much money, right? Like when you have a lot of money, right? If you if you start off with $1 million at the all-time lows, you guys, $1 million. Let's say you have $1 million cash. How the fuck do you not, like, by the end of the cycle not have at least 6 million in profit? I mean, it's like almost like statistically impossible unless you literally YOLO'd it into the most stupidest things. If you take like a really all right, let me buy mostly Bitcoin and Ethereum with this capital, and then I'll rotate some of my Bitcoin Ethereum into a couple L1s, and then just off of Bitcoin and Ethereum's performance and a couple L1s, this is the whole math of it. You can make quite a lot of money. But even if you're a little bit late, like you're coming in today, you still could make that's what I'm talking about. Like the big guy, like making a couple million on $1 million. I mean, like when you have less money, you're trying to make more multiples. You're a little bit more risky, and you're watching it closely. But we have guys that we've talked to and stuff who come into crypto with millions of dollars. They're looking for like a 3x. They're trying to turn 3.5 million into like 10 or 11 million, and then that's enough for them. Yeah, and that's a lot.
That's like a Michael Saylor type move, right? Because you can stick with Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana, the top three at the moment. And yeah, you'll get that. You'll be fine.
Right. So, but when you don't have as much money, because I was definitely there. I was definitely there, man. I was only like $20 at a time, $100 at a time. And this is something that we teach our guys in every course, right? And we teach in the Citadel as well, man. Get in or be poor. Let us save you from poverty. But it's most of the thing of like you DCA based off how you're paid, right? I had a small business. I had employees and stuff like that, so I would always get like checks or like I would have a landscape and irrigation business, so I would just have my guys finish a property. They would pay me that same day, so I'd always have cash coming in. So I'd be able, as long as I had to make sure I had money to pay all the guys and all the labor and stuff and everything like that, and the gasoline and everything. But then leftover, so I was able to DCA on a daily basis. Versus sometimes I wish I could have DCA'd a little bit more concentrated, but that's how I got my money. Versus more people get paid every 2 weeks or on a monthly basis, which is more normal. So then it's this whole thing where like you have to look. It's sort of like The Richest Man in Babylon. It's a book we always recommend. I would say it's just a really nice story. Like some of the information is a little outdated, but the overall principles are really good. Which is basically if you always pay yourself first, which is basically what that means is you take some money for future you, future Charlie, future Alan, right? Future Polo right here, right? Is you take 10%. I'd probably say more than that. Come on. But you take 10% or whatever's feasible for the time, invest it into assets, because that's the thing that we're trying to teach guys is we're trying to get you guys into the capital class. It doesn't matter if you're a business owner, an employee, a specialist, this is like the cash quadrant. If you are able to, anybody can, not everyone can run a business. Not everyone is can be a doctor or a lawyer to become a specialist. Most people can be employees, right? But everyone can become an investor. And if you're able to take advantage of this very specific time and place that we're in right now when it comes to crypto, because we're in a burgeoning ecosystem where this is a $2 trillion industry that was even years ago, right, was like 600 billion, and before that only 100 billion, and before that was like 15 million, a billion. The evolution of this industry is insane. It started with like a $15 million top. I think then it went to like $100 million, then it went to $1 billion, 15 billion, and then it went to 100 billion, then it went 600 billion, and we've currently hit we're like 2.2 trillion, and we're heading on the way to like a few trillion, right. Yeah. We're heading to a few $1 trillion, so this is why all money is going to be digitized. Nations are having hyperinflation right now. They're trying to control their currencies. Everything is digitized already. I mean, most of your money is not even like 80% plus 90% of all money is on your Zelle app or on your PayPal or on whatever mobile app you have and stuff like that. Most people, you're paying for Uber on your card and stuff. You're not paying cash for Uber. You're using credit card for everything. Most money is already digital. It's just the conversion over. I don't want a digital. I don't want us to have like a central bank digital currency, but we are either going to land on that or a step removed from that. And that's going to involve technology, and that's cryptocurrency. So the money is actually entering the technology age, and we're in that age right now. And there's this thing me and Charlie always teach guys in the courses is like, especially when guys are like, well, I'm a young guy, I need to learn about money. How do I get more money? How do I get more income? We always recommend people getting a sales job, because the closer you are to the money, the more money you make. How do you get closer to the money? What's close? Like the only thing that's closer to the money than a sales job is next to a money printer, and that's crypto. Yeah. Do you want to talk a little bit about like, I guess more of like, because I'm coming at this in terms of the DCA side from like, I had a business, so I would get like small chunks of cash every day, and then I get like a large chunk from a job, right? But you actually worked in like a traditional job and stuff, and you had sales roles and stuff like that. How would you DCA, or how would you buy crypto?
Yeah, I mean, like the way I did it at the beginning versus the way I would do it now might be a little bit different, right? So like at the beginning, it was just like, well, I didn't know too much about it. Somebody told me about it, so I just bought, $1,000 or whatever. Cool. After I bought that first 1,000, it went down to 700 within like a week. And I was like, yeah, typical, expected, whatever. Typical. Because like I thought I was buying the top. I bought $90 ETH, per coin was $90, and I was like, it was like $2 at the beginning of the year. This is only May of that year, so there's like 5 months in there. So of course, like we're gonna go down in price, right? Like, and of course we did right after I bought, right? So kind of like, I don't know, like at that point I was already expecting it. I already thought like it's ether. I'm throwing the money into the ether. Like, what kind of shit is this, right? Like, right. I was already kind of skeptical. But then when I saw like basically it turned from $1,000 to $4,000, a coin was $400 per coin by June or July of that year, I was like, shit. And then it was like, yeah, I could DCA and put in like different parts of my paycheck. Cool. And that would be great. But is it really going to make an impact compared to, how much I get paid on a yearly basis? Well, kind of, but not really. So then where it becomes powerful is like when you put in those ladder ins or those big 8 moves. And like some people, when they ape in at one price, which is dumb, right? You do need to kind of ape in like a large amount over time, but like over like a week or two instead of, like a longer period, right? So like, yeah, you just basically I waited for my bonus. And then once I got my bonus, I was like, all right, do I put all of it in or do I put all of it in? And like once I decided that, I was like, before I press the green button, I was like, if I lose it all, can I make it back again next year? Well, I did it this year. So yeah, I could probably do it again next year. Fuck it. Let's go. And so like you do need to kind of go in with a little bit bigger chunks, I feel, just to have that impact to your, net worth overall. Because, if you're in a corporate job, you tend to have like a higher base pay a lot of the time. So yeah, you kind of need like for example, like if you're making $1,000 hits on stuff, it's like, it feels okay. But when you're making $10,000 hits on something, you're getting somewhere.
Yeah, because 10 grand. Like I had just talked to a good buddy of mine that, like, it's really so he. I gotta protect the innocent here. Hold up. Okay, so he fumbled like a $3 million crypto bag because like he basically he had a lot of Bitcoin, and this is last cycle in the 21 cycle, and he traded into a bunch of alts trying to play the DeFi game, and trading game and whittled it down so significant. And like he lost like 90% of it.
Ooh.
Really badly. And then most of it was lost. Like he lost about half of it, or maybe 40% of it from like, buying coins at the wrong time, and then we've gone down. Then he decided to trade. He started making money. He started making his Bitcoin back from trading. And then he got stomped out a couple times, and then he was down 90%. And what saved him was he had made a $10,000 investment into Cardano, and he made himself $300,000. That $300,000 is what saved him for the next run, which is the run we're in right now. And then that's how he made himself back into millions again from that. But he was like, dude, it was just this like little, like he was super into concentration, and concentration works. Like being I made a joke with
it works if you're right.
It works if you're right. It works if you're right. And it's true. But that's the thing is like we have winners. It's like winners fallacy in a way. Like we only pay attention to the winners. We don't see the 96% of losers in the cases, right? We only hear about like, oh yeah, Warren Buffett highly concentrated himself in just these companies, but he's like the winner of winners. Berkshire Hathaway is like this super rare thing. The Magellan Fund, right? When that dude just died, I mean, it was just a couple. There's a reason we know their names. There's like a couple of things versus like with me and Charlie, right? Like we know tons of people in the chat that have made money. Like we're and they've made money like within reason. I mean, multiple so far, and through multiple cycles. That's the big difference versus like, only Miguel and Charlie make money versus no, there's a lot of people that make money.
Well, that's the thing, they're over multiple cycles. The thing with crypto, it's kind of like back, I don't know if anybody remembers these statistics from when you learned how to drive, but I remember like when I was like 15, they were showing us videos of people getting in car crashes and burning alive and like what they would look like after and stuff like this. Yeah, they give us a good education. Like, don't do this.
Right? Is it Minnesota?
Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
But like, so it's just like one of those things that was like, hey, you could end up like this, right? Like, don't be an idiot. And like the statistic was before the age of 25, males are most likely to die in a car accident, like disproportionately compared to females, just because we like to do stupid shit, and like we don't know what's stupid versus not stupid until we like gain experience, and like it's usually after 25 that we start to be like, oh yeah, that one time I almost died, so I probably shouldn't do that again. Right? But it's like you learn all those risks and you learn all the things that you should and shouldn't do, right? But like, do we still do them, right? We still take that risk some of the time. So it's like, I don't know, it's just one of those things where the market is kind of similar. Like the market is just like, I survived one cycle. So now I know that if I do like all my eggs in one basket, that I'm setting myself up for a giant, rifle bullet to the head or something if I'm wrong. But if I'm right, like I win big. So it's like, am I willing to take that risk? Well, the one time I did it in the last cycle, it put me back 3 years in the cycle. So, I think I'm going to do only 10% of the bag on that move. And then I'm going to take the other 90%. I'm going to put in stuff that I know is going to win for sure. Right. And then you start hedging more, basically. And then like, if you stay for 3 cycles, then it's like, okay, that really dumbass shit, like I'm going to do it because I know I can make money on it, but I'm just going to make sure it's like even less of the portfolio. So the higher you gain, in experience and portfolio, the less risk you take, but the more should take that high risk with that little bit of the bag versus, the younger you are in the crypto game, people tend to concentrate way too much. So it's like knowing how to concentrate without blowing up, the chemistry experiment.
Because like this is a big thing. I mean, we got a lot of like I'd say we got a lot of blowback for this last cycle versus this. I think we've been proven right over time on this. Is that obviously you have to have concentration. You do, right? And we're gonna get back to the whole generation thing in a second. But like there is concentration, right? But this whole thing where like what people don't look into is that we're all in on one industry, which is crypto, and then it's cryptocurrency.
And it's all correlated, baby.
It's a lot. It's very highly correlated. Everything has their day in the sun. There'll be
it might be uncorrelated by like a week.
Yeah, by literally by a week or something like that. Or you just got, you picked a good coin and it just kept running, but it only run for a month and a half and kind of chill. Eventually, at some point, it chills out and then it just stops performing as well. But then it keeps, but over a 2-year period, you're like, oh, I killed it. And you definitely did. But that's that's kind of what happens. So I guess just the thing is like by being so concentrated in crypto, like that's kind of like you're like, you're so in the forest, you don't see the trees, or you don't see the trees because of the forest, right? It's kind of like the tail wagging the dog, or the tail wagging the dog, or the dog wagging the tail, right? It's either one,
I could just imagine the different things we're saying right now, and then like somebody take, how like with Biden, they just take like the different things and then just make a snippet.
Oh, just like merge. Yeah,
I bet you like you just skip like every 5 to 10 seconds that we're talking. You just put these things in like a clip. Probably makes 0 sense, but like because we're
no, of course. I mean, I just think it's hilarious.
Gotta follow the train of thought.
Yeah, you gotta follow the train of thought, right? But anyway, so this industry is growing very rapidly. Crypto, this is kind of like the big macro pluses to this industry is that interest rates go down, money becomes like we can borrow money at cheaper rates, more money is printed, industry goes up. They keep interest rates where they're at, they print money, industry goes up because money, there's only so many places where money can be put. If it can't be put in real estate, it gets put in equities, and equity guys invest in crypto. And then if they don't invest in equities, they put it in crypto. Or they put it into businesses or something like that. So
what they consider to be hedges because they don't understand the correlation.
Correct. Yeah. So the more the money supply goes up, because we know these governments are in huge trouble. They basically more or less they use governments as piggy banks, where they get in bed with the government and they become the government, and they give themselves government contracts, so they force spending, and then that's how they steal money. So effectively, like let's just say I own a construction company. This actually happened in my local town, which is hilarious. Actually, I should tell the story. So this a local contractor got a deal to cut down like 20 trees, and basically got paid like $3 million or $4 million or something. It was some crazy amount for like 20. It was like something like 80 grand tops to cut these trees down. Maybe, I mean, like some really tall cypress trees. But that one was but like there's different shades of stealing like that happens, right? There's like the media, you're like, oh yeah, like a $200,000 tree cutting job, and then people don't know what it costs, so it's like it is what it is. But they might actually, if you were in the industry, you'd be like, oh, it would cost $40,000 to cut those trees down, and you give $80,000 in kickbacks, and you keep the rest. And that's what's happening. That's government business, and that's contracting. That's city money.
The incentives are obviously aligned.
Very aligned, But oh my god, I wish I could remember that joke. There's a great meme to it. Like, there's these 3 contractors. The government wants somebody to paint a post office, right? Oh my god, I just trying to remember. It's like they get the Americans quote $1 million, or like $1 million to paint the post office, 500,000 for paint, 500,000 for labor. This other I think the Indians like charge 2 million for paint, $1 million for this, and these other guys the Chinese go 3 million, $1 million for paint, $1 million to pay the Americans, and $1 million to kick, and $500,000 for kickbacks. Or so it was like a big joke of kickbacks. And then obviously we went with the Chinese,
Everybody back. Yeah.
Right. So that's really, and that's how it goes for all sort of things too and stuff. And the government's also doing all kinds of shadow things as well, where like, when people see like, what the hell, a hammer costs $10,000. Well, no, like that hammer doesn't cost $10,000. They're using that as a way to kind of hide money for like shadow programs and things like they have to keep. There's like dark money they pay for it and stuff, and all governments do it anyway, But I love
Boeing. But it's funny. Boeing knows how to make an F-15 Raptor very, very well, down to every single nut and bolt, and yet somehow they fuck up and their commercial airlines, like doors go flying off, right? Like, wonder why.
Because if they kept fucking over the military would start killing Boeing. Now, the reason Boeing, like, let me show you.
But all that money comes from the taxpayer that they're screwing. You know what I mean? So like, it makes sense, but it makes zero sense at the same time. It makes sense because people and businesses really only care about what's the last hand to give them that cash, that Monero, right? Like, if for example, the Federal Reserve is the first one to hand it out to the banks, right? And the banks and the government are the first ones to hand it out to the contractors, right? So that's all. They only care about that group of people. They don't care about the people who actually created that wealth, which is you and I, right? Because, well, they don't have to answer to us, which, yeah, is pretty fucked up.
Right. So this just was breaking a couple hours ago. Like, Boeing's to be charged with criminal fraud. The company's been giving the end of the week to take a guilty plea or face trial, and then Boeing prosecutor found dead in suspicious suicide. Yeah. The main reason why they're being so slow with this whole Boeing thing is because they're part of, like, they're one of, like, the grand poobahs and stuff when it comes to the defense industry. So they're one of the industrial complex and stuff, and they're part of the national defense. Yep. Like, these special things. Like, if we go to war, they're basically some of the factories that churn out the machines to go to war and stuff. So they get like a bunch of special privileges and stuff like that. So,
and yet Elon Musk proved that he can beat him to space at way cheaper. So just imagine if we put capitalism to work with the military industrial complex, right?
Yeah.
All of a sudden, we'd probably get like 10 times more output for 10 times less input. Just saying. Yeah. But yeah, like, the incentives with government and government contractors and anything to do with this makes zero sense, which also, they do irrational things for money as well, like expand NATO.
So that person, July 15th. Yeah. So there's multiple, there's allegedly, like, there's multiple whistleblowers, and people that were basically people that were going to testify against Boeing that have just getting killed. I mean, like, I think the kill count's like above 7 people plus now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not as bad as the Mexican election, where we had like 38 people running for president got murdered, but the real total was about 100 people, including staffs, that got ganked and killed.
It's wild.
Yeah. So there's some big shit going down with this one and stuff. So I mean, they're more than likely going to get a slap on the wrist, but or there might, because, like, it just depends. Like, either they break them up or they really put some crazy restrictions, but more than likely they're just going to probably pay $1 billion in fines or whatever, which is nothing to them, and brush it under the rug as fast as possible, basically.
Yeah.
So because of all this money printing, all this death dying, right? So the generations, right? So, like, a majority of boomers are still pretty skeptical to crypto, but you are starting to have, like, the wheels turning a little bit, as well as the people who manage the boomers' money are a lot younger, and the younger you are, the more you are receptive to new technology and new investments, and money talks. And crypto's gone up a lot over in this industry, so more and more of these actual fiduciaries are starting to invest into crypto and take the boomers' money into crypto. And, they take a very, very diversified approach where they're not just investing just in crypto, but they're investing in, oil, timber, like the S&P 500. I mean, they're in gold, silver, and then they might put like 2, 3, 5% into crypto, but because it's so much money, it actually is quite a lot. And it's this whole thing where, like just like we tell you guys that market caps aren't really real. Like, if a coin has $1 billion market cap, you couldn't sell $1 billion of it to get $1 billion out. There's not enough money in there. Like, on $1 billion token in market cap, there might be $40 to $80 million that you could actually sell without giga nuking the price down significantly. Right. So the thing is, if you get $100 billion of actual brand new money into crypto, I mean, the multiple could be, depending on where they put it. The overall increase in market caps overall, I mean, that 100 million might actually turn into like $400 billion of increased market cap or more, just off 100 billion coming into the space and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and the number of X's that affects to the altcoins is just like ridiculous. So good times. But Yeah, like the amount of new money that needs to come into the market as well over the next 1 year to just kind of see like how much it pumps up is going to be interesting to see like how it comes in. But in terms of like where we're at with price right now, it does kind of seem like the rumor of the Michael Dell Bitcoin buy is kind of like a little bit of the kind of the narrative that the Bitcoin maxis want to spin right now. Is like Michael Dell's buying, so why aren't you?
Right. I mean, a lot of people
11th richest man in the world.
Yeah,
by rankings that exist, right?
The official source. There's unofficial.
The officials, yeah.
Official source.
11th richest man.
It's good. As more and more of these people start buying and buying and buying, I mean, it gets some of the boomer, because these are like the boomer heroes, right. So it's like, well, he's doing it. I mean, Sailor's doing it. This guy's doing it. At some point, they're like, all right, they're gonna start investing money into this, or like, oh, I'll just put something in, right? But that's something over like how many millions of boomers there is quite significant. This is why the ETF is so important. I have a mentally disturbed man, I'm not gonna say his name, that keeps saying that the Bitcoin ETF didn't really do anything for Bitcoin. I mean, at the very least, it gave us like a $30,000 pump effectively from when it launched in January. Now we've come down, but we're still about $20,000 higher from when it launched till now. But it's more of like the news of it too, or like it's the macro of it's crazy, because we're now like, whether we like it or not, now we have this new inflow, this new dollar cost, this new DCAer, which is TradFi, and I would say more intelligent, more people who actually more manage their money are now able to like, you can go on to Fidelity, you can go on to BlackRock, and actually manually take your 401k money or take stock money you have there and start buying some shares in Bitcoin. And very soon, supposedly they moved the date for the Ethereum ETF to the 8th, and so it's going to be on July 2nd. They said supposedly moved it to the 8th. Better numerology number.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I think basically like if it doesn't happen by July 2nd, then it's going to go into the July 4th holiday. The next Monday after the July 4th holiday is the 8th, so that week there is the next slot basically to fit it in. Because it's I did hear most of the like good sources were saying 1 to 2 weeks away from the middle of last week. So that either means just before July 4th or just after. So probably just after now.
And there's the bullish case for it is the bullish case for Ethereum right now. If I'm a wealthy boomer or a really rich Xer, and I know about crypto, I'm pretty based already, I can buy Ethereum and Bitcoin. But legally, a lot of these institutions, these companies have had a very hard time actually getting into Ethereum and Bitcoin, right? And it's a sort of thing where, more companies, more countries, more I would say like rich individuals have Bitcoin over Ethereum, just because it's been a lot more easier and the namesake's a lot better. Like I don't blame a guy that's 65, 68, 70 not to know what Ethereum is, right? I mean Bitcoin, you'd have to be living on a rock not to know what Bitcoin is, right? But so you have this whole thing where you have a lot more, you have countries, you've had more major hacks happen on Bitcoin that, the amount that's held on balance sheets, on countries' balance sheets and on companies' balance sheets is damn near almost zero for Ethereum. So this whole thing is now that Ethereum is going to be more widely available for people to start buying Ethereum, you're going to start, it's kind of like they haven't even loaded up their bags yet on Ethereum versus Bitcoin.
The best tweets from the ETH maxis when Bitcoin was getting sold off in the last cycle low was Germany doesn't have any Ethereum to sell. The United States doesn't have any Ethereum to sell, right? The Bitcoin miners don't have any Ethereum to sell. I was like, good point.
Yeah.
Very good point.
And that's going to be but they're eventually going. So after this, they're going to have Ethereum to sell, but they have to acquire them back to sell.
The biggest entity that I think has a giant bag of Ethereum that like hasn't said shit yet is Goldman Sachs, because in the bear market in 2022 they came out with a report basically saying Ethereum is the best, and I was just like, interesting, but they put it out there when nobody was paying attention to shit, and so I was like, smart. So they kind of announced their position before announcing actually their position, which is just kind of interesting.
Yeah, it's kind of a crazy thing, but like, so I'm not saying there isn't no Ethereum in some of these balance sheets, but it's very small or kept very hidden versus Bitcoin. Like there's like a Bitcoin rich list. People know like certain individuals who have it. It's very public and well known and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
So
I would also say like the reason why they have done the Ethereum ETF news the way they've done it so far, I think, is to basically take the wind out of its sails. So Bitcoin's ETF was being talked about from October when they were doing their amendments into January when it got approved. The rumor mill was high and the price goes. With Ethereum, they're like, oh, this is never going to happen. Oh, yeah, it's happening next week, guys. And then price goes, really crazy to the upside. And then once it goes crazy to the upside, they're like, oh, sorry, it's going to be delayed. We have to get some filings and don't worry, but, and then it dies down again or whatever. And then, oh, yeah, it's not before 4th of July. It's after. Don't worry about it. Right. And like they just basically take all the hype phase, like the surprise aspect of the market. If there's no surprise, then, the hype kind of dies away and the retail doesn't go as nuts for buying. So it gives them more time to DCA in, theoretically, allegedly.
Yeah, exactly right. So let me share my screen real quick. So I like me and Charlie were talking about this. So there is always a let me see if I can make this a little bigger. There's always a bit of a argument for when the generations start to end. Boomers are usually pretty set in stone, but it's around like the Xers, millennials, and generations that there's a big contention of like, where does it start and end, and where does the other one begin? Especially around like the millennials, because some people are like 1996, but some people are, no, it should be 20 years versus like these 15, 16-year gaps for generations, right? So we're gonna just say that this is accurate, right? But I felt like it was a little inaccurate, but it's roughly within range, give or take, right? So we have about 70 million boomers. We've got 65 million Generation X, 72.7 million millennials, 69.3 Z Generation Zoomers, and then Generation Alpha. We got 42 million. That's a big drop off, actually. Jesus. Generation Alpha and stuff like that. So I think 2 more years and stuff.
Still being created. So
they're still being created. Yeah, but still, that's actually kind of low. So like it'll probably. Let me do some quick math here. Yeah, it's actually going to end up pretty low.
Boomers die and the generation Alpha gets born more, then yeah, it'll kind of balance itself out.
Right, but these charts are actually pretty bad. Here's the problem: is that this should be like this, that should be like that. Every generation needs to be bigger, and that's the over. And then the United States actually in terms of demography, we have like basically the best birth rate of a developed nation. Most other developed nations, they're below replacement level. That means there's somewhat like the worst one in all of like Western society, right? All developed society is South Korea. They have, this is pretty wild fact. This is like 0.6. So the average couple has
for every 2 people, or for every 1 person, there's 0.6.
For every 2 people, well, couple. Right. For every couple, they have half a kid,
just over.
So I heard a crazy fact about how it works is, all right, so let's just say everyone has those kids and then the birth rate stays at that point again, right? For every 100 Koreans born today, there are only 4 grandchildren.
It's a reverse. If you look at it, how their culture used to work as well, it's a reverse. The Ponzi scheme got turned upside down. Basically, every generation was made so that, the youngest generation was the tip of the spear, and then the older generation, was supporting them, kind of like that. But then it got tipped to where the youngest generation had to take care of everybody, and then it collapses. Is basically what happened.
Immigration is going to happen to everybody. The United States is the best at immigration. Sure, the Mormons are having kids, but they're not having as many kids as you think, because Mormons are not having as many kids as they used to have either. Everybody's having less kids. But let me think about that. For every 100 Koreans that are in breeding range today, living South Koreans today, 4 grandchildren. 4. Not. Do you know how crazy? Like, it should be Like that is such a societal collapse. It should be like for every 100 Koreans, there should be 400 grandchildren.
But what we're doing is we're basing everything based on boomer metrics. And boomer metrics
on how it is currently.
Correct, but also like how we expect it to be based on the past.
Well, no, based on current trajectory. No. So on demography, it's based off a current trajectory of like what.
No. I understand that part, but what I mean is like we think it should be different. Like that's messed up the way it is, so that it's declining. But we think it should be different. It should be better. And the reason why it's not is because is it cultural? Is it economic? Is it a mix? And all that stuff. And at the end of the day, if you look at it in a wave of cycles, right? What's the definition of a boomer? They were born during times that were booming and everything was great. The economy was awesome. What happens when the economy contracts, right? And their kids can't take care of them. So if they can't take care of them and they can't buy a house and they can't even take care of their own kids, then they're like, they get stressed the fuck out. And that's, part of the reason for that, right? And so like, if you look at it in terms of economic cycles and how that affects things, then you can kind of predict the future, right? It's like the China one-child policy. Like there's a mix between the demographics they chose and their economic performance. That was okay as their economic performance was great. But once their economic performance starts slipping, then that strategy no longer works because the demographics come back and just get them right in the A,
Right. So it's a very complicated issue, but like it's sort of the keep it simple strategy is basically every single person in this chat, as long as like I've said this before, the way the system works today, now it's going to change in the future. Me and Charlie are going to be way older. Like there's the problem is that we're right now as me and Charlie as adults and most of you guys as adults, most of your adult life is going to be in this old system because the old system is still converting into whatever the new system is going to be. So we're still in the old system. So for the next 20 years, we're waiting for boomers to kind of die out, all this money to kind of get transferred over, and then on top of that, the extras are going to start giving the mantle over to the millennials. But the thing is the economies are going to have to evolve in order to keep up production and stuff. And then the big hope is AI, but I'm not as hopeful for that realistically, like at least from what I've seen now. Maybe 10 years from now, we're like, oh yeah, this is actually going to start work productions. Like our ability to produce things is going to go up. But the problem is our all Western economies, and this is from communistic all the way to like capitalistic and everywhere in between, right? Are completely based on this whole consumerism, no matter what. And nothing wrong with that, but that's what it is. And every country that has a very high birth rate also is on that as well. So like basically just about every country on the planet is a consumerist-based economy, or at least trying to export to get to the point where they can start buying stuff. They're trying to become a consumer economy. So the whole world runs on one Ponzi, which is we need people to buy stuff. So the whole thing is basically, this is the most important thing in the world right now, is basically how many people are being born. And it's collapsing around the world. Africa's doing okay. Certain countries in South America are doing okay. And just about everywhere else fucked. Basically.
And if you also think about the technology in the aspect of an economic issue, right? When you have an industrial-based society, you need as many hands as possible, whether they're, 11-year-old hands working the chimney sweeps and the new machines back in 1850.
Yeah.
Seriously, like if you read any Charles Dickens novel in the 1800s, it's the same thing. It's like, my dad, was a debtor, so he went to jail and I had to go to work. I was like, damn, that's fucking crazy. Versus the digital age where you're born out the womb with an iPad and your efficiency level as a human being is so high that the amount effort that you need to put out to actually produce something or at least get the reward, right, of living a good life is so much less. So the amount you have to ascend is so much less, and the amount of people that we actually need is so much less that, it kind of works out this way, right? So like it's just a very giant growing pain in if we're going from an industrial age to a digital age, it's just as big of an impact on humanity as going from a nomadic life to an agricultural life, which I think because we live in this time, it's extremely hard for us to comprehend. But like about 300 years from now, when they look back on it, they'll be like, oh yeah, of course, that's, you know, the time they were living in. This is why they had those issues.
Yeah, it's always more like you can always take such a good look back and like oh, this is what we should have done. But when you're in the middle of it, it's massive. As well as like you're right, like basically at least what I'm trying to understand what Charlie's saying here is like, yeah, we went from like farms where you needed a certain amount of labor, so kids were like, you need to have kids because you need labor, and you go from like living in cities which is more cramped and you need less children but you still have them. And then basically today children have become luxuries, but in reality they're actually necessities for a country. It's a necessity
as a macro whole, but as an individual unit, right? Not as much. So like the incentives for the I guess the average everyday person versus the whole society is not quite lined up.
Right. So it's this whole thing. But here's the fucked up thing: is I actually do think it's actually
it's cultural too. It's definitely cultural because what is needed in society, the culture changes to what is needed, right? And so if more production is needed, then everybody, let's work harder. Let's get together. Let's, you know, it's like the 1930s, you know, hell, let's go have some, what I forgot what they called them, like the different like work projects that they did, you know, to build bridges and stuff like that. You know, it's like, hey, everybody together, because, you know, if we don't do this, we're going to starve. So better this and get one egg than 0 eggs. Right. So like, you had a different incentive for that generation and that culture because of what they needed to do.
Yeah, the Ben of the West right here. Like Charlie is on point with this perceived tragedy of the commons right now. 40 years when no one's around to change grandpa's diaper. No, I'm not saying about like no. So I'm fully agreeing with Charlie.
We're just coming at it from different angles.
Different angles and stuff, because I'm coming at more like you're right. Like the people of the past, which are right now alive, which are the grandparents and the boomers right now, they're going to fuck off and die anyway. They're gone, and they're going to get out of the way, which is
unfortunately, right? We love them. But...
No, fortunately. No.
Depends on which ones we're talking about. I guess.
Depends. Yeah, exactly. But this has been a big point, is that, you know, these. I mean, let's just be honest. Like, shout out to Tim Dillon, but the boomers have been the most selfish generation in history. Let's just be honest. On average, they've been pieces of shit. They really have. They
had the chance to change society for the better when they were in their, you know, flower loving days. They had it all, you know, thought out well, and then somewhere they sold out.
History,
I think it was the 80s.
History is not going to look kindly on the boomers. I really believe so. Like you know how like they'll be able to,
because we're the ones writing it.
Yeah, because they're gonna try to write history and we're gonna rewrite it on them. But the thing, no matter what, is people look back like this is gonna be. I mean, they made massive mistakes. They still did great things, of course, right? But they made massive mistakes. I mean, let's take their whole summer of love, right? Because a boomer who was born in the correct time and stuff was in the summer of love. And what did they do? It's sort of like in Lord of the Ring, my precious. Oh no, actually a better movie from 300, right? You know the in 300, the Spartan with the hump in his back, he was deformed. He lived somehow. He traded out the gang for one night of sex. That's exactly like you could almost like now. It's economics. It's houses gotten smaller. We've gotten more cramped. You know, we're in cities more, so it's less room to have kids. But they also did this other thing where, like, if we kept our more Christian morals or whatever, it doesn't mean Muslim, whatever, but like doesn't matter. More religious morals intact. They destroyed them just to have a little bit of unprotected for like 5 or 10 years of unprotected sex, and then whatever fucking happened in the disco era. You know, like. You know,
the disco era, that's the reason why they're getting everybody hopped up on coke, so they didn't see what Tricky Dick was doing back in the office.
But okay.
Getting us off the gold standard, getting us into Vietnam. Right. Yeah.
But if I've actually researched this, no, the French were actually were trying to fuck us over. They were actually pulling dude, fuck the French, man. Like straight up, fuck the French. The French, fuck them. The government, not the people. But the French were basically trying to do a run on the banks on the United States government with gold. So they were basically they were trying to get everyone to pull their gold out. They stopped doing deposits in the United States. So they were basically trying to crash the U.S. economy. And as I've done more research into Nixon, bro, Nixon has gotten such an unfair shakeout. Nixon was an incredible president.
Yes and no. I agree with you 100%. Nixon historically is viewed way more negatively than
he should. He's a G.
Than what he was
capable of. He was an incredibly intelligent president. Like the same thing. Like he was incredible president. He was okay. Go ahead.
But at the end of the day, he was also a politician.
Correct.
You can't trust none of these motherfuckers. So like
we gotta rate them. We gotta rate them on a curve though, a politician curve.
And also the difference compared to politicians today too. It's like if Nixon was running today versus like any of these candidates in the race, bro.
Oh my God.
It would be just boom, 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 just smoked left, right, and center. Like any, it's just hilarious. But at the end of the day, it's like you get judged for the one or two, things you really fucked up, instead of the things that you might have made better. And, taking us off the gold standard. Yeah, there were some reasons for it at the time, but it's like, it's temporary.
Right. Now,
right.
Now, that in terms of like the world thing, right? We by us getting off the gold standard, the rest of the world got off the gold standard. But we have to look at this in the position of, in order to keep our power monopoly, which we both have, I mean, I would not be born today.
They were juicing it up. They weren't defending it. They were juicing up the power versus. So like, hey, if we want to be the biggest, baddest country in the world and we can just like fucking rule everything, right. Yes, we might have a really bad hangover from this, but it's going to be awesome while we're partying, bros. So they just chose to go into the party like full force.
Yeah, so they did that, but at the same time too, all this, the reason that it was starting to fail is because every country was money printing anyway. There were very solid.
They definitely would have got beat by Japan. Like Japan in the 80s, their economy was kicking everybody's ass, and they had to be like, Japan, please just screw over your entire economy and give us like a third of it, so that way you can perpetually be in the Bank of International Settlements. We'll make sure you're rich forever, but just not as rich as you could have been, right?
Yeah.
And so like, they made these deals and it makes sense.
It's a clusterfuck. It's a clusterfuck because I'm with you because the internet, the IMF and shit, evil mother, just like horrible stuff. Because like, I mean, I've done like, I've been like researching this a lot. Like I didn't mean to, I just kind of fell into researching into what's happened with
really interesting stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that's, we'll get back to how it's affecting crypto today, but like,
this all leads into it. It all leads into why we're going in this direction, which is scary. Like for guys who don't know, like we do the crypto mindset course every quarter, right? And this is kind of, there's this coming of age ritual that we do, which is like showing people the Bitcoin time traveler, right?
Right.
One thing in the Bitcoin time traveler meme that we show everybody, right, which is basically that society becomes a deflationary society. And that's actually what's happening because negative population growth is deflationary because we're contracting. Because it'll come a point in time where as we're deflating down in population in the world scale, at some point technology and the amount of stuff we can actually produce will increase our productivity enough that we bottom out on the chart and we can start going back up or maintain population, but then GDP keeps going like this and then sharing of the pie.
So we have to bottom out at Mike Judge's level of idiocracy first, where instead of President Camacho, we get President Big Mike. And then that's the low, that's the capitulation low. And then it's all up and to the right from here for the rest of the century. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Well, that was so it's like, all right. So, okay. That was a hand dealt to the entire boomer population. You call them greedy. No, it's what they did with the hand. No. No. So like right now, like basically the millennials.
But I wouldn't put it past every other generation because all the traps that they fell into are, if you think about it from a human aspect, to be honest, I think all the Zoomers who are in college right now, they're like, I'm idealistic. I think the world should be like this or whatever, more communistic, all UBI, all this stuff. And then they get into the fucking shit of actual, day-to-day life, the war, corporate warfare, and all that stuff, and then it's like,
it's Big Mike.
Oh, we'll get into that later. but like they finally see reality, and then they're like, oh, I kind of get why people need to sell out, or why they would sell out, because it's the last chance. So it's like, it's like I could throw the boomers under the bus all day, every day, and I'd happily do so. But at the same time, I'm like, is any other generation going to be that different given the same temptations?
We don't, and that's the thing too. And also on top of that, like the CIA, no matter what, whatever countries have, like their inner governments that try to push certain mandates. So it could have been very well the fact, like I like, it's true. We are like creations of our circumstance, right? And like, but it is an interesting sort of thing to know, like, if it was millennials instead of boomers, maybe we would have acted a little differently. Because like, look, I know this enough from like, my family, and I've got cousins with kids and stuff, that we do have this whole thing where like naturally kids are born, like they are born with a certain personality. Like you could have a person that's naturally a little bit more disagreeable. So it just, whatever mix we had overall ended up falling into that. But I also do know that like all the stuff that, if you actually read into what happened during the 60s and stuff like that, the CIA went out of their way to kill that whole love era because they were anti-war, and that got in the way of the fucking war machine. So there's a lot of things that,
and they only used it because it was good for MK Ultra.
Correct. And they bastardized it because like I think the boomers were heading in a right path, and the CIA was like, oh, we need to course correct this bullshit, and then we'll lead them into greed.
And they had numbers.
Yeah.
That scared the older generation like fucking crazy. As soon as they were like, oh shit, all these young people are really like,
Look at this.
It's crazy.
The greatest generation. I mean, this is living today, so this is wrong. But look, I mean, this is actually probably not that off, actually. Even though that it'd probably be like 25. But like, you had literally the average couple that gave birth to the baby boomers, they had 3 to 4 kids on average, at least. Some families were at 5 or 6. So it's this whole thing where like the average, if I probably look at the birth rate for the boomers, it probably was 3 to 4 or 3.5, % birth rate for the boomers. So you had this, you're tripling of like if a generation was 25 million, the baby boomers were like 100 million back then. Because obviously we've had people die, you have people die and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's kind of like when like you have so many kids, it's like you can't control them all anymore, and you're just like you can't beat them all. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's just like damn, okay, the kids take over.
And you had this whole thing too when the baby boomers came out of college or came out of high school. They actually caused disinflation as well, because when they entered the labor force, there were so many of them that basically it became a hiring, like basically the boss or the person who owned the company had the power, because it's like, all right, you don't want to work for me, fine, I'll just hire the next kid. Yep. And this actually lasted for quite a while, until like, eventually, the old economy kind of, got developed out and stuff like that. But this is not accurate for the silent and the greatest generation, because they're all almost dead now. Like,
as of 23. Yeah.
As of 23. Exactly. Right. I would love to, like, the guy Scamwicks in the chat, brother, how young are you? I just want to know, like, you don't have to give me your exact age. Are you like early 20s, or are you like your teens? Are you boomer? Like, because you have to understand, like, we like, he's saying the millennials seem greedy. Well, you have to look at this as a whole. You are talking to finance bros in cryptocurrency on YouTube. So you're talking to a specific demographic of us
But then I'll also give people this, right? Why would a millennial or a Zoomer seem greedy compared to a Gen Xer or a Boomer, right? Again, it goes back to that same thing before when you're comparing the generations. Why do they act differently when it comes to money? Is because of what opportunity they had or didn't have, right? So when you, in the span of from 2020, and this is more for the Zoomers than it is even for the millennials, from the year 2020 until 2024, you basically, it depends on where you are in the country, but you go anywhere from 50% increase on housing prices to up to, a 4x increase in housing prices over that period of time. Did people's salary increase that much over that period of time? Absolutely not, especially if you're a young person. So the amount of opportunity is so much lower that you have to swing for the fences. You have to swing for the greed. You have to swing for that big hit. Otherwise, you know, you're never going to get there. But you never would have got there anyway. So if you lose, who gives a shit, right? Like that's the mentality of the Zoomers, which is correct based on their time, but is unidentifiable by previous generations because they simply don't understand the situation they're in, because they think about dollars when they were growing up. I think about dollars in this perspective of 90s and the early 2000s, because that's when I was in my formative years, right? And so when I think about like prices today for a Happy Meal, they came out with the $5 menu recently, like $5 meal at McDonald's.
It used to be $2.50. Used to be $2.50 to $2.25 for that.
Yeah, or it used to be $1 for most of those items, right?
Exactly.
So like, it's that inflation that people just, you know, don't really realize because we're all frogs in boiling water.
Yeah, this is the cool thing about being able to see prices. And like one thing I always tell people, I tell like especially younger kids, because I was like I'm trying to relate. Like I have I'm my godson, and I have some younger cousins of mine that like I try to explain this to them a little bit, and I always put it in something they would understand, like chips or candy, right? And I show them is like how much is a bag? How much is a like. I'm getting old here. Like, how much does a bag of chips cost? They're like $1.60, $1.70. Cool. When I was a kid, it used to be $1. Whoa, what do you mean $1? And then I looked up the bags and I showed them that it had twice as much chips for like half the price. Bros, I mean,
you know what that reminds me of though? It reminds me of when I was a kid, and then the older generations used to say, back in 1910, a cup of coffee was 5 cents, you know, and now it's $5. What the fuck, you know? Like, and it's like, yeah, that was about 80 years ago, pops, you know.
Yeah, shrinkflation. So there's been inflation and shrinkflation. So you're getting less of that item, and then the price is also, and then you're paying more for the item as well. There's all kinds.
Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to give it to you.
Correct. It's crazy, but like I will say this though, like the reason why we also seem a little bit more like greedy, and this is more of just what's going on, is because you have to understand is that we are getting a more unfiltered view of how people actually are with social media. Like I'll say this, me and Charlie have like a foot in each door. We grew up on the playground, playing outside, bikes, you know, basketball, all sports, you know, like I barely, you know, I had a flip phone in high school for the first time, you know, that like, I got
my first cell phone when I was 17.
Yeah.
And it was a fucking Nokia brick that like played, the best game it had on it was Snake.
Snake, yeah. I had
like,
Tetris,
damn, bro.
I had Tetris.
You know, we had to work for it back then, yeah.
And in a quick amount of time, you know, by the time I graduated high school, like let me tell you, it's like you know, the first real smartphone, the real first one was the Apple 3GS, which came out in 2009, maybe early 2010. And then that was the first real one where you had decent connection with it, because it was AT&T who had it back in the day. You could go on Facebook, and then eventually you had Instagram, and then you had Snapchat and all these things that evolved, and they went to the 4, the 6, the 10 and stuff, and all these other things, right? And you got to see, this is the whole thing, is that there's a lot of benefits we've gained from social media and YouTube and all this stuff, because YouTube was created in 2005 and stuff like that. And like, it really isn't the YouTube you know today wasn't really around until 2013, really.
Yeah.
Like it was very early on, like
very early stages too.
And the 3G, yeah, exactly, right. And you have to understand that, you know, what you're seeing is exactly like you're seeing the inner thoughts and the inner things of humans. How like humans have always had these thoughts. We have not changed. We are still running on the old 10,000, 100,000-year-old software of humans. And now we've just got in these last 20 years, and like not really, let's see, in the last 15 years, we've gotten smartphones more or less, and you're seeing our inner thoughts of Xers, some boomers, a ton of millennials, and all the Zoomers of how humans actually are. And humans are fucking selfish, greedy creatures, and they pretend they're not. They are, because we have to be. All humans they pretend not to. They care about hierarchies. They care about showing off with either they're like, oh, this guy's a big show off. Everyone's trying to peacock because that's how they it's basically showing the world that there's and it's an uncomfortable truth because social media is like and YouTube and all this stuff is a mirror. You know, I recently was talking to a good friend of mine where he was telling me
it's a mirror to what you want things to be like, not how they are necessarily too. Because like, you get a lot of people, pretending to be a lot of shit they ain't.
Right. So I mean, yeah, it's a lot of like chess, a lot of like kind of posturing and stuff like that. But that's what humans are, because they would posture, like they would it doesn't from any society. I mean, if you were an Indian back in the day, right, you're like someone you're someone like Crazy Horse, right? For every brave thing you did or anything cool thing, you got a feather in your bonnet, and then the more feathers you had, the more bitches you got, and more like you went to the war chief parties. You're like, damn, dude, like Crazy Horse has got like that, and you think he wasn't getting, even if he was like a fucking introverted dude or like kind of like bad with girls, like the whole tribe was like, Jesus, man, look at this dude, and like that's what it platter. Yeah, it gets on the platter, and that's what it is, right? And the sexual like that's why we've always pushed like learning the red pill, at least learning just more or less the overall version of it, because that's one big missing key that people don't that aren't. If you can understand the woman side and the man side, because like if you're a guy, you understand the guy side, what it is. Like, we're trying to get in shape, we're trying to make some money, even though we don't know why, but yeah, for pussy, of course, and family, that's why. And for the woman side, as a man, you might not understand that. It'll teach you the woman side, and if you're a woman, you already know the woman side, so you need to learn the man side. And that's kind of like the Ouroboros of like the whole thing, is like you have to understand the opposite sex, and most people go their entire life without understanding that, and then they try to understand human nature, and they're missing 50% of the fucking equation. And the thing is, you intrinsically as a guy will know the guy side so much better than the girl side, because no matter how much me and Charlie or any red pill guy, even Rolo or anybody studies the girl side, we'll never know it as intrinsically how it feels as a girl, but we'll get close.
Thank God.
Thank God. Because we're seeing it in the eyes. I'll see the girl side as a guy, because like we're playing a game of ping pong in a way, right? Or we're playing a game of like tug of war. And the thing is I'm trying to let my sexual strategy needs to beat up the woman's, right? Because by me winning what I want, like let's just say I have three women, I've got 3 kids with all of them and stuff like that, and they all live with me, but I'm cucking out their desires or whatever their desires are, and their desires are probably like they want to breed with the male men, so maybe they're winning, but they don't want to share you. But they're like, well, I'm getting the alpha.
You have all the resources, so they'd rather be with, they'd rather share than not. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. And then you have some girls that are a little more fucked in the head, where they're like, they're just trying to get pregnant by everybody. but it is what it is, right? But that's the whole thing, is that there's this whole thing, or the darkest one, which is like beta bucks and alpha fucks, where this is the real dark one, where they're trying to get pregnant by the Chad, and then they'll have the fucking beta dude take care of him. He's not the stepfather, he's the father that stepped up. Oh, shoot me now. Shoot me now. Shoot me now.
Yep.
Yeah. Like, ugh. It's this whole thing where and then too, like a lot of women, and this is like me as a guy complaining versus like I'm complaining, like, is I'm always going to complain, because the complaint on this side for the girl side, because obviously I'm trying to have my sexual strategy win out hers. And that's what it is, right? So we're in this game that most people don't even think that they're in. We're in this game of like, I want my sexual strategy to win versus the girls. And then then also on top of that, I'm playing this hierarchy game between guys. To me, the whole thing, like everyone knows this one. This is both guys and girls. Everyone always congratulates, like, let's just say you don't have much money and stuff like that, and you finally start getting a job, you start getting some savings up, and everyone's like, dude, hell yeah, Charlie, I knew you could do it, bro. But then Charlie starts getting richer than me, like the compliments sort of stop. Because you don't want, like, I want you to do better, but I want you to do better than me.
And not that much better. Yeah.
I don't want you that much. That's not, because then that's that whole thing I was going to bring up earlier. That friend that I said that, he lost like 3 million and kind of bought it back and got it all back and stuff. He's doing really well again, and his business is expanding in his real life. And he's having all these people who are like giving him like praise are now like super jealous of him and stuff like that, because it's just, and these are friends that he's had for 13, 14 years that are starting to get jealous of him now, and I told him, it's because you are a mirror. they're like, your success is an actual mirror to them, because it's an uncomfortable truth that basically they're not doing enough, and that's what they feel inside, and it's making them uncomfortable, so they start hating.
Yeah, and then they start saying, well, but they nitpick on this, and the other thing. Well, in order to do that, you gave up X, Y, Z, and that's just too big of a compromise or too big of a sacrifice. And oh, I would have never done that because that's like legit crazy, bro. Like, you're just lucky and all this stuff. And like, man, like, because we're in crypto and everything, just the topic of money, how it affects people is I think a lot, because we don't talk about money as a society, I think, enough, right? Especially we don't teach it. That I think it's like that unconscious thing that I think a lot of people just never realize. But like the way that I noticed, who is a true friend and not a hater or whatever, during the come up and everything, was simply just when you said any of your wins, right? Who just said, "Oh, good for you, bro. That's awesome," versus making some sort of excuse as to why you were able to do it and they weren't.
Right. Or just completely not trying to talk to you anymore, or like
right.
just like I
like, man, you changed. It's like, no, I didn't change. You just fucking can't relate anymore because whatever reason, you for some reason think that we're different now.
Right. And I've had and one of my favorite comebacks is like, I have the same phone number since high school. You're the one that changed your phone 10 times. Woo, that's a nice little burn right there. I was like,
yeah. But so I guess, going back to kind of how this all ties in, like to how people bet differently, I think like understanding all these different aspects of the difference in generation and demographics, both from the past angle as well as the future angle, will help you to kind of understand what the future moves are, right? So like, why is BlackRock doing all this stuff with Bitcoin like they're doing right now? Why didn't they do it 5 years ago? Why aren't they doing it 5 years from now? Well, they got to be ahead of the generational shift by at least one cycle, right? And if that shift's happening in 28, 29, they got to make those moves now, and then they can capture the entire millennial market money.
Don't say that. Shh.
Oh yeah.
No, nothing. Gold, silver, you guys. Gold, silver, you guys. I need extra liquidity. Come on.
Right. Well, they need the boomers to die to give their gold and silver to the millennials, and then the millennials convert that gold and silver into Bitcoin and Ethereum. And then when they convert into Bitcoin and Ethereum, they just say, "Hey, bro, it's much easier to do it as an ETF than to buy the real stuff. Don't worry about it. We got you." And then all of a sudden they control your ass again. So that's the way they got to get in on the new generation early.
Yeah, it's kind of funny too. Like I mean, the thing is, like, obviously it's circumstance, right? This is like this. It's kind of like that old what is it called? It's like nature versus nurture sort of thing, right? Like we were like, me and Charlie are within a range of the same age and stuff, like more or less, and the same generation. But the housing crisis happened, in our formative years, and as we're coming out into adulthood, like when I graduated high school in 2009. I think you graduated college around the same time as well. So you were going out into the working world, and I was going into the working world as well. And like, I grew up like most of my life thinking like I was going to take over my dad's business, and like I was going to go in I was going to go in my dad's business. I was going to go in construction and do all this stuff, and I saw like everything collapse and die.
Yeah.
And like I was like, well, there's my kingdom in ashes, and I've got to pick up the ashes. And that's where I started. Like I was like I thought I was gonna have a couple crews. I was gonna start I was gonna learn being in these houses and stuff. And then by the time I was 25, I'd have this big company and everything like that. And then I was like, well, you got a dirty old truck if you're lucky, and you got some used equipment. Good luck, kid.
The thing that's interesting is that like so much similarity there between us, because like my dad ran his own general contracting business for construction, right? So it's kind of same thing, different angle. Yeah. And I was always like, I don't want to run my own business. I don't really want to take over the business. I don't really want to do that, right? And then like somehow, some way, just I fell into running my own business, because eventually at one point in my life, I was like, actually, that's way fucking better. Like, why would I not want to do that? And then it's like, well, but it's, you got to go with what you're passionate about, what you know as well, versus, you know, what your parents were able to do. So like when you go forward, it's like, I'll take the same principles and everything that I learned from seeing that, but then I'm just going to apply that to a brand new sector that has, you know, more lifespan, because construction and retail construction specifically, and different things right now is just like, oh, you know, the economy is hurting so bad. Like people are really not building a lot of new shit.
Yeah, and it was very specific time and place where like you can always enter any industry if you're good enough and you work hard enough. Like any industry you enter, like you could win as long as if that's really what you're doing and you put in your single focus, you can win. But like the reason I was able to grow my business to what size it was is because I just basically outlasted everybody, because I saw the whole industry. There was so much competition, and eventually got so bad that, I mean, I was just so dirt poor that like any money was like, damn, I'm winning right now. Holy crap.
Yeah.
I got an extra $100 this week, dude. I'm murdering, I'm killing the game. And it's kind of that whole thing where you're so poor, you don't know that you're poor. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Or it's like you're in such a hole already that any progress out of it is great, because like, oh shit, this is progress, you know? Like
that's the power of youth and stuff. Because like, oh my god, I've said this to my family and my, you know, people. I think I told you, Charlie, like, damn, I felt like I had infinite energy at 19. Like look at me and Charlie's work ethic, and like, dude, imagine at 19, like I was insane. It was like
the only problem is that with less experience, we'd be retarded as well. Right. So it's like, you know, like that's
what's that rule? If you're under 24, you're retarded. It's true. It's just because you don't got you can still be really smart and make money, but like there's just a certain amount of life experience that you just don't have. You haven't seen enough.
You don't know what you don't know.
Yeah, you don't know what you don't know and stuff like that. And like I've seen it so many times. Like I had so many I had workers and I had like young guys and stuff, and it was like, bro's about to get his first girlfriend right now, and here goes all his money. He's like, no. Kids saved up $12,000. He's got the truck now. Bro, I'm telling you, bro, the minute you get this girlfriend, watch. He's like, no, it's not going to happen to me. Yeah, bro, I got nothing left. I was like, son of a, what did I tell you, bro? He's like, I know, you told me, bro. I told you to wait another year, bro. Like it's without fail, that's happened to like half my crew. I saw that. Like, incredible. The girlfriend was this draining thing, because I said, bro, just invest, because I was trying to get my guys to invest, right? I said, invest one more year, bro. Like there's a couple of family members, like, well, I should be quiet about that. Well, I'll say a couple family members and some other people, like I told them to stick with it for another 6 months. They still made hundreds of thousands of dollars, but they would have made $1 million plus. But the coochie is more important. Pussy was more important.
Hey, it's the immediacy, right, is easier than long-term strategy.
Yeah, I mean,
it's the same argument that I've made to some women in the past too. Or like I was trying to convince to get into crypto. I was like, you can have that one coat now, or you could have 4 coats in 6 months. I'll take the one coat now. You know, it's like, I give up.
Yeah, Ben of the West. No, I wasn't old. I mean, I guess I was old enough, but like he's like the 2008-9 market was absolutely the worst, but there was a silver lining. The dating market got vastly easier. The women were out of work. Yeah, I could see, I mean, but I was just at the point where like I was just so young, my head wasn't even in that world. Like I was just like, I mean, I was just like, damn, dude, what am I gonna do with the rest of my life? Like I took 1 year off of college just to go work, and because I was so sick of school, and like that was a big mental game too, of like I know where like, but this is what, like, every time we talk about the generations, this is like so important, because it's like, this is why me and Charlie can relate, because like this is why like Rollo says this, Justin Waller says this, Fresh and Myron says this, is that, and you know, a lot of the guys in the red pill who are a lot older say this, is like, you know, why they don't respect a lot of the influencers today that are like young guys that like they basically made other money off a crypto scam. They're lying about it. They're lying about their money and just trying to get people to buy their stuff. And I mean, just basically a bunch of liars, basically. No real life word experience. They didn't actually make a business. They just got popped off of the gram, basically, or a YouTube video. And versus like when me and Charlie actually were in the labor force, we actually had our own businesses. We actually were working for a long time. So, I mean, Rollo for years had a real career, lived in the real world, you know, got married, had children, then became the godfather of the red pill. Myron was like an actual officer working for the government, came out, had a career, actual career, did stuff, then came out. That's the whole thing that we're talking about, is like having that extra experience, because that actually not just flavors you, but also like you figure out who you actually are.
Right. Well, and then you can also like kind of see the similarities between, you could connect dots between items that you might not consider connectable necessarily. So it's like, hey, I see this cryptocurrency being run, like for my corporate experience, right? I was a recruiter slash headhunter. So essentially, what do you call it? Like somebody's going to convince people to change their jobs and join a company. So kind of like, a mercenary for a corporation, right? For the HR mercenary, I guess you could put it that way too. But like, so I know how a company should be built, how a company should be run on an international level. And then when I see these crypto projects trying to run themselves, I'm like, what a fucking joke. Their marketing is shit, their approach is different, and all this stuff, right? So like you can use these bits and pieces from your experience to really go after like kind of, different patterns that you might see or whatever. So I don't know if that makes sense or not. Waiting on DCC. I get he's going to take a deuce. No, he's probably taking a second, but yeah. So like, but running on those different experiences, I think is what's important. Just in general, to be able to connect those dots between different areas. So it makes you a little bit more creative, makes you be able to be a better problem solver and stuff like that. So I was waiting for this moment. So I'm just gonna, well, I don't know. I think I can do this individually, or does he have to approve it? Oh, snap. Oh, you're the background. Okay, cool. I'll just share the quick market update. Well, DCC is out here for a second because we're into infinity charts. Look at that. So basically, where we're at right now, we're starting to get pretty, I would say, medium term bullish just on where we're at right now. So one thing here that is kind of important to notice with what's happening in the market is we had our potential for a 60-day cycle low right here on June 24th. Then we had a cluster of price around support, which essentially is 60,000 and some change, 60,400. And then we had resistance here at the tops of all these candles where price was getting sold off. And the tops of those candles was essentially 62,400, or if you round it up, 62,500. So earlier today, as this candle was being created for Sunday, June 30th, I was telling everybody in the Citadel, hey, if we get a new high above these previous candles, so essentially 62,500, then we will be in a new 60-day cycle. Why? Because we have a cycle low, we have a wick low. It's 54 days low to low from the previous low. We broke the downtrend if that happened, which it did. And then also we have a new high past day 7 because the shortest 60-day cycle high you will see 99.9% of the time is a day 7 high. There's only one anomaly in Bitcoin's history that was less. And so if we get at least a 7-day high, and then on a left translated cycle, if it's still bearish, that would be essentially at worst a day 24 high. So we have between day 7 and day 24, which is today until July 18th. We have that period of time to basically bet to the upside based on this breakout, in my opinion, based on the 60-day cycles. Now, the most important thing for this current 60-day cycle is that we want to get back to this 111-day moving average, which is currently at 66,100. If we regain that, and then we eventually regain 68,000, then we have a good shot at a right translated cycle, which would mean getting a new high past July 24th. And we would want to see, we don't have to go to new all-time highs, but we want to breach the previous cycle high. If we can do that, then we will increase, because essentially the pattern here is we got a lower high, lower high, lower high. If we get another lower high, that could potentially be bearish, but we also have a a higher low. And if we get another higher low, then we're basically contracting in this next 60-day cycle between now and, let's give it the average of the full 60 days, between now and August 23rd, right? Maybe at shortest day 40 of the 60-day cycle, which would be August 3rd. So that whole August period, 3rd to the 23rd, that's where you're really looking for, the data of, are we going to break down and make a new low, or are we going to break up and make a new high? Whichever one the price chooses during this current 60-day cycle will pretty much tell us where we're going to go after. And because we're not too far off the Bitcoin halving, then, the longer we go away from the Bitcoin halving, the more likely we are to pump just due to supply demand. We also have on the daily this bullish divergence where the RSI continued to go down, whereas price held up. That is also bullish for the daily there. So I think this, the last couple 60-day cycles, we had basically a low to low here of a 42-day cycle. Now we have another low to low here of 54. And I think we'll have another low to low maybe of about 50 days, most likely with a higher low. And then we basically have these 3 cycles to allocate, and then we pump. That's what seems the most likely based on Bitcoin's 4-year cycles and stuff like that. But the danger zone is if we break below 60K, we break below the support area that we've created, then we quickly turn from a possible bullish cycle to, if it's, let's say we only get a high on day 10, we go up until Thursday, and then we crash below 60K, then we can dump down all of that time period, right? For about 30 to 40 days, we could be just dumping and going to hit, that $1 trillion Bitcoin market cap, maybe hit $52,000 Bitcoin. And, it's a good time to allocate, but it will take maybe one more cycle after that. Then it might take until early Q4 to keep accumulating before it regains strength from there. So either way, I think we're still bullish long term or over the next 1 year or so. But how long we have to accumulate, whether it's half a cycle, full cycle, or 2 more 60-day cycles, it's one of those 3, and then we pump, in my opinion. So that's kind of where we're at in the market right now. But yeah, just wanted to share that. I'll pop off on this unless you have anything you wanted to add.
No, it's just you guys have some time to accumulate, but the big X factor is it's kind of like the market. So I wouldn't say feared and greed index, but I would say just more like the sentiment is bearish. So it's kind of, this is the same reason I want to explain what's going on with the Illuvium side and stuff right now. It's kind of like, it's sort of, I think the community and overall crypto has been like, oh, you guys have been crying wolf. It's like they don't believe it's going to happen until it happens. Correct. And they're like, oh, wow, it actually did happen. Holy shit. And that's what's happening right now. So until the ETF and people start seeing like, oh, damn, people actually are buying. Because any net buying, outside of just like $1 million a day, that would be bad. But like, if there's only one fund, that's okay. But if it's like multiple ones have turned on and it's getting like nothing, it's like yikes, right? But once it's actually turned on and stuff, and people are seeing the inflows are starting to come in, okay, wow, oh, this is interesting. That could actually like bring up interest again and stuff like that, and then prices can go up and stuff. This is why like this next 60 days are so important, because this is if we're going to see, we're going to get that action in that summer.
Yep. And like I said, I think the action will come regardless once we get towards Q4. But yeah, like it's always better if we're pumping and everything. So the other thing to look at here, if we look at the golden ratio multiplier, is if we were to pump like crazy in the current 60-day cycle, what would our cap be in terms of like a local high? Your cap is basically the top of this golden ratio multiplier, which is currently $92,000 or $93,000 by the time we. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. I was literally about to say 91,000 in my head. I was about to say that. That's crazy.
Yeah, because you can kind of get the gut feeling that if we were to go up that high, then yeah, that's kind of like too quick within one 60-day cycle. That's kind of unsustainable. Whereas if we get to the green line here, which is 74,000, that's kind of like fair price. Like it's bullish, but it's kind of like nice and high. So like, yeah, I think in general, if we were to get to about $75,000 and kind of like just creep up a bit from there, that would be your bull case scenario within the 60-day cycle. Doesn't mean we'd have to continue pumping from there, but actually if you just kind of chill off around that price and then kind of accumulate the second half of this cycle, that's actually kind of the best scenario you're going to get. And it seems like I said before, BlackRock, all these ETF people, Bitwise, everybody, they want to get into this position, right? And so like basically being like, hey, put the ETF out there, but do it in a way that's not going to get hype. That gives them the best chance to continue buying at decent prices before we really break out.
So I don't know if anyone remembers the number I said back in the day. So a year ago, I was talking about there's this whole point, right? I remember so vividly last cycle when we broke, I talked about it earlier, when we broke at above $27,000, that all of crypto Twitter collectively on Twitter and on the chats were like, oh bro, we're in a bull run now. Oh my God. It was, but by bull run, when they mean alt season, we're like, happiness, happy time. And I said, it's always got to be higher than the last all-time high. And I said, it's $81,000. 81 for me. I think that will be the number, because we've hit 70. We've hit the 70 for a little bit, right? But we didn't a few times, but we didn't maintain it. And when we did stay there for a little bit, it came back down. So it's a sort of thing where it's the same thing I told you. It's like we hit like 20,000, 21, 23, but it's like, no, one dip and it'll be below and we'll be back at 19 and then we can crash to 16. It's sort of this weird thing. It's like, yeah, then we'll crash at 19 and then we'll go back to 13 and then we'll go back to 7,
They become doomers real quick. Yeah.
Right. So it's this whole thing where like, we're at 27. If we crash, we might stay at 21 and then we might be able to hold at 19. Or there's no so big. And then the bulls are like, bro, we're at 27, bro. This shit might actually take off to fucking 47. And they're like, oh my God, this might go to 50. This could go to 100. And 81,000 is this really like powerful point where like, even if we dip down, we might be able to defend. Like, it's sort of like the last
previous all-time highs.
Yes, there you go. Exactly. So like, dude, if we hit 81, we'll probably defend 74.
Yep.
Oh dang. Okay. This is interesting. And then this is where like,
and that's why even getting $1 or $2 higher than the previous cycle highs and then the previous all-time high, that's all we need to basically be like, yeah, now it's just a matter of time before we pump out of that. Versus, if we start making lows into the 50Ks, that it's like, okay, we might have another quarter of chop before, we really get moving. So it's like really the only difference is like, how impatient are we really?
So Nima be chilling. It says, this is why people are poor. If you can't hit the like button, then you can't hit the buy or the sell button. That means you can't click the button to get into the Citadel.
That's true.
Poverty, you guys hit that like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell, go subscribe to Charlie at Cultivate Crypto. Yeah, Fusion.
Which way we go here? It's like, it's
in verse. Yeah. And hit the like button, you guys. But man, I'm so excited, dude. When we hit that point, it's gonna be so sweet, because that's when like there's this whole thing where like there's never any money. There's always money. Always money. You may be tapped out. What I'm saying is like there's always some bigger players. There's people who say they don't have money, they have money, and this is when they finally get the balls to like, oh my God, I got to throw in now before it just leaves and stuff. So we are going to get the super chats before we sign off and stuff like that. But
we'll do a lightning round.
We'll do a quick lightning round and stuff like that. But like the boomer money, as they retire and they're leaving the workforce, their money's still working in the market because they have to. Some boomers are still working. They don't want to give up the throne. I mean, this is probably the last boomer election, more or less. Maybe there could be one more of like a really old people, but after the 2020s, once we hit into the 2030s, we are going to have extra millennial president. We are going to start like the Senate and the House of Representatives is about to age out. We're about to have a huge demographic change very soon.
Yeah, Biden's aging out, but not voluntarily.
Not voluntarily. I mean. Well, I want to say about Nancy. Now I like Nancy. Nancy's nice. Don't fade Nancy. She's the best. But cryptos are down. Turning off my air conditioner. Definitely, man. So I don't know. Let's get into the super chats. But remember, the boomers are leaving out. The Xers are taking over, but they're small. They're smaller in population, and they're also going to start aging out because the millennials are a much bigger generation, and they're coming in. And the Zoomers are going to have to kind of the good thing is if you're a Zoomer right now paying attention, you're probably going to be a lot better off than the younger Zoomer right now, because I think Kyle might be one of the older Zoomers and stuff. Kyle's like what, 22? Kyle's 22. So the oldest Zoomer right now is 23. Right now, 23, which is 24 is the oldest. So the youngest right now is 15, 16. So the older Zoomers might actually do pretty well as long as they're smart and they actually go into this stuff. The younger ones might actually end up getting the shit into the stick. So this is why we're telling you guys to pay attention right now, because this wealth transfer is happening. There's always going to be opportunities in the future, but right now it's kind of like if you invest in this space now and you pay attention on the next cycle, this is where you can get money to actually have a house and have a family. You can actually not be trapped. I mean, if this is going to be a cage, it's better to be in a golden cage. And if you're going to cry, I'd rather cry in jet skis.
I'll take all these dollars and wipe my tears,
Right.
All that dirty fiat.
What's that?
I don't want that dirty fiat touching my face. Sorry, but
Right.
But let's keep it to 1 to 2 minutes per super chat on answer, and then maybe 10 seconds minimum. But some of them are just comments too.
So real John F. Kennedy with $2 super chat. Thank you again for the life advice. Oh yeah. I'm not going to go into it too much, but bro, don't worry.
We say hashtag not life or financial advice, but if you want to take it that way, we don't mind.
You had some tragic stuff happen, but you got off easy, brother. I mean, you got off easy.
He's called the real JFK. Of course, he's going to have something. I'm joking. That's a bad joke. Terrible joke.
Jonathan Blanco with the $5 super chat. What's good, Miguel and Charlie? Yo, Miguel, yesterday on your stream, you said that crypto is going to die in 2020. Oh, okay. Yep. So crypto is cyclical. We have cycles. So we usually after, let's just say we all-time high in 2025, we crash very violently in 26. It's not that it's over. It's more of like where prices are correcting down, and then somewhere in very late 26, early 27, we're going to be buying the all-time lows for Bitcoin and Ethereum.
Yeah. So early 27 was like early last year. Early 28 will be like early this year. And then early 29 will be like early next year. And then, do the same thing 4 years back, and you kind of see the picture. Yeah.
So crypto runs in 4-year cycles because of Bitcoin. And this is just kind of how it's always operated. But that's just kind of how it goes. So there you go. Shout out to GG33. Bryce with the $2 super chat. DYK about correlation with the McRib and Bitcoin. The McRib disappears every couple of years and comes back.
Must be the same as liquidity cycles with Bitcoin.
It has to be. Like, I forgot there's these statisticians guys where they actually find the weirdest stuff. Like just because something's correlated doesn't mean that there's correlation. It's just kind of like happenstance where like people have found like the price of Japanese maple leaf, what's called vinegar, matches with the price of the US dollar. Actually, 1 for 1. They move it complete correlate. It's like 4 years. Yeah, every 4 years. The price of apple cottonwood has crashed. Gat Keys with the $5 super chat. Hey, Charlie, Miguel, besides Ethereum, Phantom, Pepe, Shiba, Illuvium, I have Pulse Chain and PulseX, etc. What other coins do I need to get now that I need to know about?
Well, in the crypto mindset course, there might be an Excel sheet where we discuss that. But it's like there's so many answers to this question, right?
Yeah.
There's so many coins you could have. It just depends. But because you're like, what? How many coins? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 coins. So I mean, that's a good portfolio. Yeah. You got ETH and Phantom, which are your more stable L1s, versus you got Pulse Chain, PulseX, which is more your moonshot, and then you got 2 memes and 1 GameFi play. So if you're looking at narratives, I'm like, another slam dunk narrative is AI, but do you need it in the portfolio? Not necessarily. I think it'll do just as well if you do or don't. But I think, take the stuff that you currently have and really understand it. And then add another position here or there. But I think right there, that level of risk, you have a high risk play, you have a medium risk play, and you have low risk plays. And then it's just a matter of balancing how you want to balance between them, really. Because sometimes, adding new coins doesn't add more X's. It just adds more complexity sometimes if you don't if you can't pay attention to these coins already.
The only thing I would say in this portfolio that I would maybe change out a little bit was the Shiba position. You could probably get the same amount of gains on Shiba as you could in Doge. with the safer. That's a way to maybe make it a little safer, or take half the Shiba money into Pepe and the other half into AI. I think that'd be a better play because Pepe performs very well with the coins and stuff like that, but Shiba is kind of in a no man's land where like it still performs okay, but like Doge is in the driver's seat, and you have coins like Pepe and Whiff and I guess what's the one? Not Turbo. What's that other one? Bonk. And there's a couple of all these newer, like these new gen coins that are just moving a lot faster. And if you're going to be in meme coins, you might as well be in a little bit more of those higher flyers versus like you're in a lot more of the mid caps, which is something like a Ponke or if you're not in a Ponke, you're in like a $1 million, 5 million market cap coin, which is our complete scratchers, like a Sank or something like that. So that's the way I would personally do it. And an AI play would be pretty nice. I think an AI play would be pretty nice, but that Pepe play is good. But Shiba, like, I wish I could say different because Shiba kind of fumbled the ball with their whole L1 ecosystem and the bones. Like, it just didn't really play out and get much, didn't really get much like play and stuff like that. So I would almost swap it out for Doge just because like Doge actually has the shot to get the ETF, and Doge getting the ETF is bull season for all meme coins, and Pepe will pump just off of that. Yeah. But like Pepe, I mean, not Pepe. I'm sorry. Doge to $1.
Easy to play.
Where's it? Okay. Crypto Boogie, fire. What's up, dude? Yeah, nice stream, dude. Earlier. Shout out to the Kimchi squad. Ken Rose, yeah, man. What's up? So we got Jonathan Blanco with the $20 super chat. So the Citadel just joined Great Value. Quick question: my bag is Bitcoin 1500, Ethereum, Sol, Pulsex, FET, Phantom, Polygon. Should I add another coin or just DCA into what I got? Bag prediction. I think I would just DCA into the coins you have to try to get bigger positions and stuff like that. I don't know. What do you think? What do you think?
It's kind of a similar answer to the last guy too, right? Yeah. Like, most of the coins you got are good. Consolidate into those. If there's one that's kind of a slower apple compared to the others, it would be Polygon. You could take that one and consolidate into one of the others that you already have, or you can get a new position in something that might be a higher flyer. But that would be really the main difference. And then like bag prediction. Well, how much dollars is that in total?
Probably look under $4,000 or $5,000. Right,
so let's say 4.5, right? Yeah. And then if you're going to average, let's say a 20x, depending overall, what would 4,500 times 20 be? Well, it'd be $90,000. Not too bad.
Yeah, not too shabby. Personally, I don't like Polygon, but it does make money. It does make money, right? Just like Chain.
I think Phantom's a better bet than Matic in terms of like number of X's too. So like I just take that $200, put it over there, or put it over to Fetch, or put it over to PulseX, whichever.
And if you wanted a dark horse, I mean, I would put it in Cardano just because no one's even thinking about Cardano.
Yeah, it's oversold versus Bitcoin.
Correct. Yeah, and it hasn't like versus Polygon's actually run a little bit, and they've launched another L1 and all. Let me actually one more thing too. Be really careful. Like if if we keep having a drawdown and some of these VC chains actually drop down lower, I might like a Sui or any of these other ones, any of these really big VC back chains. That's when I would consider getting into some of these. Caspa just recently it keeps going up. Near's a huge one. Nearly has a chance to get an ETF as well, possibly. So that's that's actually a way to play the Solana play a little bit as well, because like if Solana gets the ETF, Near is the only other US chain. Not my favorite, if I'm being honest, Y Combinator, but like it is what it is. We got Global Security Expert, $10 super chat. Is it okay to use Sol as an insurance play as opposed to Ethereum? I've been using Ethereum to buy into Pulse Chain, and I was able to secure a nice bag of Sol with lower prices.
Personally, I think yes, because I do think Sol is the ETH of this cycle versus ETH being the ETH of last cycle. So I'm almost like at the point here of being able to say, like, when in doubt, buy Sol. But I know it's crazy. It's a little crazy. The only reason why I say that is because, ETH has what, from 3,500 has about a 4x in it. Sol has an easy, right? 8x in it. It's already double the gains. It's way more X's than Bitcoin's going to do, right? So, yeah, but it's the same problem that everybody had going hard into ETH the last 2 cycles is they don't know how it's going to pan out. Is ETH going to do well or is it going to die over time, right? Same thing with Sol. Whenever you go that next layer of risk down, there's always a little bit more uncertainty. So I would say you will most likely win doing that, but you got to understand that it could not work out too. So I would still keep a good chunk in ETH just as your insurance play.
Yeah. Or just like you've got enough ETH now, you just only DCA into Solana. That's fine.
Yeah. That's
just keeping an anchor.
Favor, yeah.
Yeah. Keeping the anchor there. Like at some point, Ethereum's gonna get so high. Like we've said this in the, I think on the previous course rollout and stuff like that, where we left on the courses that were saying like at some point, if Ethereum's like $6,000, you know, we're going to be recommending different coins to DCA into at a better value because, you know, even if ETH goes to 18,000, let's say it does go, that's a 3x really, a 6, 12, 18. There's other coins that could maybe do a 6 or 8 or 10x, and it'd be better bang for your buck and give you a little more time to take profits. You know, so and you know, 18K is not a promise. It could be 12K or it could be 8K Ethereum. You know, like we don't know, so we have to. But 6K, if the top's 8, if the top 6, you know, if the top's $8,000 and it's only and you're buying it at 6, you're probably going to end up losing because you're going to be holding on too long. So yeah, sure. We got James with $20 super chat. Love you all. Keep the great info. Up and to the right. Profits for all. Daniel Day, $5 super chat. You guys need to get Swerve the Dip, aka the Vaults of Crypto, on a show again. Your collabs are some of the best for mindset knowledge. Yeah, he's always welcomed on MoonGang. I mean, definitely, man. Yeah, man's a hardcore barber now.
And like he's figured out a lot of good stuff within this market that I highly commend him for putting in the work. So yeah, always welcome.
Now, what do you guys think about the Mamba on blockchain? People are saying it's going to be one on Bit. Nah, it's probably not. Chances are really low. I don't know. It's usually an animal and stuff. I mean, sure, Mamba. I mean, it's a snake and stuff, but like Kobe's dead. No, I'm joking. sorry. But I don't know. I mean, it's probably not. I mean, maybe on a different show. I'll probably look at it during my show tomorrow or something like that, or maybe on Charlie's and stuff on Friday.
For any new coin, sometimes it takes a little. Like if we haven't looked at it yet, we'll have to take a little time to look at it before giving you a proper answer.
So Jet Keys, right? With 2 should I import my MetaMask to Rabby? So okay. So I saw people in the chat talking about this. The reason people are talking about Rabby so much in the chat is because Consensus is getting sued by the SEC, but the SEC has a massive track record of losing. But they're coming after Consensus, which are the people that own MetaMask, because they basically added a lot of features and basically kind of made like it into a semi-exchange in a way.
But Consensus is friends with BlackRock.
Yeah.
So whatever they end up coming back with, they're probably not going to get hit too hard, but there might be some level of KYC requested.
Yeah. So, and Rabby is a great wallet, but it's not the same level as it does have some bells and whistles. It's not the same level as a MetaMask. I would have to see a lot more things before I'd consider changing stuff. If I saw some very draconian things, I'd definitely move things away. But here's the thing, is that most of the money in crypto is outside of the Bitcoin money is held in MetaMask wallets, period. And there's there's hex stakes and there's certain things that just can't be transferred very easily over. A lot of it can, but some things can't. So, but if you know, we'll sound the alarm if we think like, oh, wow, this is like, because I think it has very little teeth and I think it's just going to be a slap on the wrist. But what'll happen is at some point, if people are, what's going to happen is you're on Rabby wallet, and then eventually Rabby wallet's going to have to comply, and then you jump to the next. It's going to be this game of just like you're just jumping from wallet to wallet, cock carousel. So Jonathan Blanco, my last question. Oh, 300 a week. Yeah, concentrate in the L1s, brother. Just you know, you got enough Ethereum. Concentrate in the L1s. Get those bags bigger. Ethereum. I mean, Solana and Phantom. Jeff Noah with the Canadian $7 price for Daddy. Oh, that's Tate's coin, right? Yeah, right. It has to be, right?
Yeah. And what happened to Venom?
I don't know. Look,
I don't know. I'm
not saying people won't make money on it, but here's the thing: is like the way I look at it is like I don't have a informational or a strategic advantage in the coin because there's people that are inside of the war room that are also inside of the what's called Hustlers University. That's all they do, and that's what they live and die for. And there's no way me and Charlie are going to be able to beat them on the trigger to get in the coin cheap or something, unless we're outside of just like it's getting so beat up, then we buy it. So it's like we're always going to be at an informational disadvantage, and that means you might be exit liquidity. There's too many insiders, and we just don't have any advantage in it.
Yeah, if you look at the chart of Venom, which was the last one they were trying to promote, it's literally straight down and to the right. Like, I don't know. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen. I'm just saying, like, you're right about the exit liquidity potential. So, and that's not because Tate's exit liquidity. No, there's people within. There's very smart, very rich people within the oh fuck, I've got the name. The highest level. What's it called? Not the Hustlers University. After the War Room.
The War Room, yeah, thank you. The War Room. That there's some very wealthy individuals and stuff like that. I know for a fact they're very wealthy individuals, and they probably put a lot of money into that stuff, and they're going to be taking super profits. So we're at a massive disadvantage.
It's kind of a big PvP game, player versus player.
Yeah. So I'm just not to say that it's a bad coin. I think it could still perform very well, but here's the thing: I've seen a very bad thing happen recently. They're going after Roaring Kitty, which is the whole GMX thing. I mean, the GME and everything like that. They're coming after him for basically manipulating the stock and stuff. And I think this may be the first little hand of like how they're going to start coming after info. I think this next top to the next bear market in 2026, they're going to go after all the influencers making coins. Because NFT is different from coins, and this is why and it might be a return back to NFTs, because the NFTs, it's like an art piece, and there's kind of like protections versus like you're launching a security basically. I think I remember a couple 6 months ago, before all the meme coin season really started, like on Solana, that everyone no one was really launching coins even on Pulse Chain. And now they're like everyone's either got their fake alias or their real face out there making. Everyone's making coins, and they're gonna have carte blanche to go after anybody they really want to. Because it's a little risky if you're stateside, Yeah,
we'll see.
We're European. Yeah.
Definitely.
So yeah, thank you guys for joining us, man. This is MoonGang. Charlie, when are you streaming next?
So I'll be on Tuesday at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard-ish, plus or minus 15 minutes. We'll be back from Tuesday through Friday at that time, baby. Same bat time, same bat place.
Same bat channel, right? So yeah, I'll be streaming tomorrow at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time here on this channel. I'll be streaming on Wednesday at 7, right after Charlie's live stream. I'll be within like 30 minutes. I'll be on live after Charlie. And then I'll be streaming on Saturday at 5 p.m. as well. So we'll be doing MoonGang on Charlie's channel this next Sunday.
Beautiful.
Cool, man. Thank you guys so much for joining us. And don't get wrecked.
¡Dale, güey! ¡Dale, güey! Te diciendo que no puedo, cabrón. ¡Dale, güey! ¡Mi pinche bot, ¿dónde está? ¿Dónde está mi pinche bot? ¡Está ganando el pendejo! ¡Chíngate!